Monster Integration by N1. Chapter 341 Fort Cavendish 2. When I first looked at the projection of Grim Race, I thought if I had been seeing bipedal monsters or not. Because the Grim Race looked eerily similar to that of bipedal monsters. First, it was theorized that Grim Race is likely to evolve from the monster race, but after extensive research of thousands of years, it is found that Grim Race is completely different that of monster race. There may be many similarities between them, and dark energy of Grim Race affect monsters both physically and mentally, but still, monster race and Grim Race is different, but they are still called monster because how cruel and ruthless they are. The Grim Race monsters may look like bipedal monsters, but they are intelligent as humans, as using a different type of artifact like us. There is no fixed size of them, they came in every size, and many of them can increase their size depending. As for their power level, it is different from us. Their power practice started from stage 1, which is equal stage corporal stage, stage 2 equal to the lieutenant stage, stage 3 colonel stage, stage 4 is equal to marshal stage. Like us humans, there are many Grim Race monsters that were able to fight beyond the level, and they also have something that gave them boost akin to rule power that gave us. These stages of Grim Race powerhouses found around in the range Grim battlefield and around Fort Cavendish. There are also some stage 5, as they are way more powerful than the other 4 stages. At stage 5 they got qualitative change in their strength, just like us when we level up martial stage to completely different stage. After reading everything, I go to the small covering booth which is set up for the rookies to convert their credits into the merit points. Find authorized novels and web novel faster updates, better experience. Please click www.novelhall.com for visiting. After converting 10 million credits into 1,000 merit points, I called the hover car to take me to the place where I will be staying. I had already booked a good apartment for 1,000 merit points. It may not be good as my previous apartment, but it still looked quite good through the photos. The hover car here is different from what we have in the West Blood. All of them are military graded for the maximum defense and speed, but I ordered it run at its slowest speed, so I could take a look at this outpost properly. As the hover car sped by, I got my first ever glimpse of the city, and with one look, I could tell that Fort Cavendish is way different from the West Blood. West Blood City, despite being a city of adventurers, gives a feeling of the normal city where people wear whatever they want and do whatever they want, but here is completely different. 50% of the people walking on the street are wearing full battle gear, from armor to boots and weapons hanging on their bodies. It looks like they are either going for battle or coming back from it. The other 50% are wearing serious clothes, like combat boots and a leather jacket, and from their attitude, it looks like they are ready to fight any second. One special thing I noticed, that the people here have weapon hanging by their waists or on back. Swords, axes, war hammers, saber, gauntlets, to having a weapon on the body seem to be in fashion here. One more interesting thing I notice about weapons that people carrying, that all of them are totem artifacts. These are not the totem artifact they had brought but created themselves. One can create totem artifact of their own after they reached the lieutenant stage. 99.99% of people here are above the lieutenant stage and are above 20 years old. We or those came from Republic are different. Normally, to come to the Grim battlefield, one has to be a super elite of captain stage or at major stage, but now we came here with the exception, the rule power. With us comprehending the rule power, our power had reached the minimum threshold to participate in the Grim battlefield. There is a whole fighting atmosphere in the city, and it could be seen with architecture here. The buildings here tough looking, very few delicate and beautiful buildings could be seen here, even if on those delicate and beautiful looking buildings have a fighting aura about them. Like these Silver Butterfly Guild building, their building looked extremely delicate and beautiful, with small and big statues of beautiful silver butterflies placed all over. At one look the butterflies statues looked very beautiful, all silver and pretty, but if one took a closer look, they will find that wings of butterfly statues are extremely sharp and their eyes are very ferocious, filled with fighting intense, that made one feel as if he was not looking at statues but a real silver butterfly. Whoever carved these statues must be a master. Normal sculptors can't do that what he has done. I thought I am looking at these statues from afar as I am in the hover car. If Michael would have seen it from near, he would have able to sense the rule power from those statues. I spotted many guilds building through the hover cars. First, when I read about them in the document, I did not put much thoughts on it, thinking they are only gimmicks of grim battlefield and would not have as much influence as the documents had stated. But now, looking at near hundreds guilds building I am seeing through the window of my hover car, I am started to think they are a bigger deal than I had previously thought. The guilds are only special to the grim battlefields. They have mostly formed by a group of powerful people. They can be said to be mini organizations of the grim battlefield. Guilds are the places where one will get safety, intelligence, people to do missions together. More than 90% people are fighting in the grim battlefield are affiliated to guilds. As with Guild behind your back, hunting became quite easy, as you not only have vast intelligence network of guild but will also have comrades to do missions together. I also thought of joining guild some point in this week, but now I have to do it sooner. There are thousands of guilds in the Fort Cavendish. It is said that as long as one paid the fees and is at general stage, they can create the guilds, and that is why there are so many of them. The guilds are divided into 4 classes across grim battlefield, and what class they define their power. A, B, C and S. C class is the lowest class while S is the highest class. Most of the guilds fits into the C class. They have average fighting power and their members are a mediocre category. Nearly 80% guilds out there fits in C class, but C class guilds are also guilds which boost greatest members, the members of the other 3. The B class guilds are more powerful than the C class guilds. 1 B class guilds could easily crush tens of C class easily. The A class guilds are elite guilds. They are very powerful, and there are not more than 50 A class guilds in the Fort Cavendish, but despite their small numbers, they have the power to crush all the B and C class guilds. That is how powerful they are. Chapter 342 in the Bar I. The last is the S-class guilds. They are on a completely different level compared to the other 3 classes of guilds. If there were a comparison, then other classes of guilds are normal evolvers, then S-class guilds are super elites. Each member of S-class guilds are force itself. They are killing machine when they are hunting. Due to them being so exceptional, these guilds have fewest members compared to other guilds and also have the fewest number of themselves. In the Fort Cavendish, there are only 5 S-class guilds in Fort Cavendish, and that guild Silver Butterfly also is the S-class guild. It will be impossible for me to join Butterfly no matter how much I try. Not only me, but other men in the Fort Cavendish also could not join the Silver Butterfly as it only accepts the female members. Soon my hover car stopped in front of the huge concrete square building. I got out of the car and walked into the apartment building. As I got into the lobby, I found it became little silent all of a sudden, and I became the object of many gazes. Some were of wonder and confusion, while others were surprise and jealousy. I could understand their emotions. If I were at their place, I would likely feel the same as them. All the people here looked 25 years and above and have the power of captain stage at minimum. With them, seeing an 18-year boy with sergeant stage power is a rare sight. Ignoring their gazes, I boarded the elevator for my apartment. Soon the elevator reached the 22nd floor and I walked out it. Finding my apartment, I opened its door through my holowatch. The apartment is exactly the same as the pictures I have seen. It has 1 hall, 1 bedroom, and a kitchen, and has all the basic necessities that one will need. It is quite good for the single person to live. The only flaw of this apartment is that this apartment is not on the prime spot, is a little away from the important areas of Fort Cavendish. The best are in the Fort Cavendish is near the Fort Cavendish, which was the giant fort which I've seen from the above, from which this outpost is named. The area near Fort Cavendish is the prime location of this outpost, but the prices of the apartment there is insanely expensive. They are so expensive that I can't even afford a shoebox-size apartment near that area. The next most expensive locations are near famous guilds and adventurers' paradise building that found all over this outpost. Still, this apartment is not bad to live inside it for a month, and if I am lucky this month, then I will have enough merit points that I will be able to move to the better place next month. I have a rough idea of what I have done reading the document that Fort Cavendish has provided, but I still won't hear the conversation and ask around, so I will not make any mistakes that rookies do when they arrive at a new place like this. The apartment feels cold and empty as long as it did not have your personal things. Without wasting any time, I started to take out my things to put it in the apartment. I put my clothes in the wardrobe, I also place Ashlin's favorite chair on the balcony in which she like rest and many other things. 2 hours later, the cold and detached apartment became warm and cozy. After changing into clothes that suit the city's style, I hang the sword to my waist and walked out of my apartment. This time I also received numerous gazes, but like last time, I did not mind them and walk out of my apartment building. In a place like Fort Cavendish or any other place, if you want to meet new people and want to know about current affairs, then bars is the best place. Adventure Paradise also does that job, but they are not good as bars, and I already walking toward one of the good bars in my area. The only problem is that there are 2 hours till evening. The bars would not be full at this time. If I had come 2 hours later I would have found jammed-packed bar without a question, but I was too excited to go out that I didn't want to wait for 2 hours to go out. After walking for half an hour while receiving numerous gazes on the way, I had arrived at one of the most famous bars in my area, and when I opened the door, I come across a nearly full bar that there are barely any seats are left. This bar is Tavern style bar, which seemed to be a popular style of bars when I was searching for the right bar earlier. I found most of them are in tavern style. I sat on the empty table, which was for 3 people, and ordered 2 drinks, one for me and another for Ashlyn. Thank God, there was low alcohol content drink in the bar, otherwise I would have had to order a normal drink, which would have made angrier at me. Ah, what a cute little birdie. Find authorized novels and web novel faster updates. Better experience, please click www.novelhall.com for visiting. I had just taken a sip out of my drink and started to listen to a conversation about me when I heard the voice, and the next second I found fair white hand petting Ashlyn lovingly. Ashlyn did not even react to seeing someone petting her. She has gotten used to people petting her. Whenever we go out, someone always comes wanting to pet Ashlyn. Most of the time these people are little gills who got fascinated by Ashlyn's shiny silver fur and her cute chubby little size, but sometimes adults also pet her like this girl in front of me. I was surprised when I looked at the girl in front of me, as I did not expect to find the girl the same age as me in this bar. Although there are many people of my age came to Fort Cavendish with me, but Fort Cavendish is quite big and I did not expect to run across each other. Can we sit here? I heard another voice, only to see a handsome boy about the same age as me in front of me, standing beside the girl who is still busy petting unresponsive Ashlyn. I nodded and both of them sat opposite of me. You have such pretty monster. I wish my Selena was this pretty and cuddly, said the girl with slight sadness as she looked Ashlyn lodging. Are you one of the people that came from Castellan today? Asked handsome boy a question. I was surprised by his question, as I was under the impression that they also came from Republic, seeing how both of them are the same age as me and are at peak master stage, as only those who comprehended the rule could come to grim battlefield if they are below captain stage. Are you not from the Republic? I asked in surprise. No, we are not. We were just lucky to comprehend rule power by chance and came here, he said casually, which shocked me really. Chapter 343 Combat Score. I was a little shocked by his revelation. I thought all the people that had comprehended the rule power and are below captain stage came from Republic, but look like we are not the only lucky ones who got the chance of their life. There are other people also. When did you came to the Fort Cavendish? I asked, feeling curious. Oh, we have come 6 months ago, replied the handsome boy. How rude of us, we sat on your table and hadn't introduced ourselves, said the girl who was petting Ashlyn a few seconds ago. I am Ruby and this fellow here is Seth, and we are from Ardea, said Ruby as she introduced herself. We are neighbors then, I said with a laugh, as Republic and Ardea are the neighboring countries. You guys from Castellan are really lucky to comprehend rule from Awakening Ground. Here everyone has to pay a shitload of merit points if they want to comprehend rule power, Ruby said as he looked around the bar where many people looking at us with envious gazes. You can comprehend rule power here? I asked in surprise. I had guessed in the place like Grim Battlefield there would be facilities that help people comprehend the rule, but I did not expect it to have it in the Fort Cavendish, as it just outpost of Grim Battlefield 11. Not one of the important battlefronts, and there is no mention of it in the introductory document that provided to us by Fort Cavendish. Yeah, Fort Cavendish has a rule palace, but it cost one shitload of merit points if one has to do that. We were quite lucky to get a chance to comprehend rule power without paying anything. These people have to work hard for at least a year before they could amass enough merit points to enter the rule palace. said Seth as he looked at the people sitting on the bar. I could only nod to that. I don't know how much merit point needed to enter Rule Palace of Fort Cavendish, but it is huge to make Captain Evolver work hard for a year to amass them. Have you guys joined the guild? I asked the question that I had been wanting to ask for quite a while. Hearing my question, their faces lit up like a light bulb and look of pride had appeared on their faces. Of course we joined the guild, we joined the very week we landed in the Fort Cavendish, said Seth laughingly. Find authorized novels and web novel faster updates. Better experience, please click www.novelhall.com for visiting. If you don't mind me asking, which one is it? I asked. Before coming to the bar, I had read about all the A, B and S class guilds of Fort Cavendish. It's Black Thunder, both of them said in unison, and looked of pride couldn't be more apparent on their faces. As they said the name of their guild, I started to remember details of the guild that I read less than an hour ago. Our guild is A-class guild and counted in top 10 A-class guilds in the Cavendish city, and our guild is also an official subsidiary of Raging Thunder, the S-class guild in the Fort Cavendish, informed Seth in a sort of bragging voice. His voice is also pitched louder as if he wanted to let the whole bar know that he was from Black Thunder. His loud voice got intended effect and many people in the bar looked at him enviously. A trace of lodging could be seen in their eyes as they looked at Black Lightning Bolt badge on Seth and Ruby's chest. I have noticed many people wearing badges in their chests. These badges seem to be a representation of their guilds. Michael, seeing how we hit it off, I can refer you to my guild, but to get in you will have to have combat score of 1000 at least. Combat score, this is a special term of Grim Battlefield which is used to measure combat power. I did not understand this term properly when I read it the first time in the introductory document, but after talking with Seth, I understood it properly. In the Grim Battlefield, one's level is not the correct way to measure combat power, as most of the people here have rule power, so they have combat score which shows the real power of one. It may not be a perfect way to measure up, but it is way more accurate than the conventional method. So, Michael, when do you plan to measure your combat score? Asked Seth. Tomorrow. I replied straightforwardly. There is no going ahead without measuring up the combat score. It is a must for joining the guilds, as every guild demands certain combat score to become their member. Do you guys know the combat score requirement of guilds? I asked. Of course, we know, said Seth, excited to share his knowledge. To join a C-class guild, you won't even have to submit your combat score to them. They will take you in knowing enough that you have rule power, Seth said. As for B-class guides, they require a combat score of 500 or above. It goes higher depending upon how powerful that guild is. A class guild will require minimum combat score of 1000, but that is for normal people, as some A-class guilds will make a compromise for people like us who had comprehended rule power at such young age. If you want to join our guild Black Thunder, you will at least need more than 1300 points. Their requirement could be less than 10 to 20 points if you have a recommendation. If you manage to get recommendation from high-level member of guild, then a requirement could be lessened to 100 points maximum, Seth said. What about the requirement of S-class guild? I asked when he didn't say anything about it. S-class guild. Seth laughed weirdly. Everyone who was able to enter the S-class guild are demons. There is no requirement to join the S-class guild, but if one wants to join it, then one will need to have combat score 4000 at least, and that is just to apply in it, and most of the people who applied to them got rejected. As I've said, S-class guilds do not accept normal people, they only accept demons or those who have potential to become one, Seth said with a mirthless laugh. Combat score of 4000, I don't have any idea how much that is, but seeing how handsome the face of Seth contorted into something ugly, it really must be huge, and all that huge score is enough to make an application and not acceptable. That is really tells something. I couldn't help but wonder what my combat score would be. If you guys don't mind, can you tell me what was your combat score when you first joined the guild? I did not ask what their current combat score is, that would be too much. I am only asking their combat score which they used to apply for their guild. They both stood silent for a while. Seeing their silence, I was prepared to apologize, as it may seem too much, but before I could speak, Seth replied for my question. When I first time measured my combat score, it was 1368, Ruby's was little higher than me, hers was 1452, replied Seth with the same prideful smile as he was proud of his score. Chapter 344 Changing Holowatch. I could only nod as I did not have any idea how much power this combat score amount to. I could only able to make a comparison when I measure my combat score tomorrow. Do you guys have any tips for measuring combat score? I asked, hoping to glean some tips that could help to get more combat scores when I measure it tomorrow. No tips are useful when measuring the combat score, still I will tell you what entails, said Ruby while shaking her head. Next few minutes she told me what I should expect when I measure my combat score tomorrow, hearing that I couldn't help but frown as this seems very simple. Isn't this very simple? How can they measure one combat power through this simple method? I asked. I thought there will be some complicated set of procedure to measure the combat score, but what Ruby told me, all I have to fight an android. It is not as simple as you think, you will understand it when you fight it tomorrow, Ruby said with a smile. Next hour we kept talking to many other things, some of them were really out of my expectations. By then I left the bar, most of the questions I had in my mind got cleared. We exchanged our number and Seth again reminded me if I was able to 1300 or above, I should call him for recommendation so that I will have an easier time in getting into his guild. When I reached back my apartment half an hour later, it was already late evening and it is time for my dinner. I did not order food from outside, instead chose to cook it myself, seeing I want to save as much as merit points for other things, and another reason is food is little expensive here than the Republic, as most of the monster meat got imported from outside as monsters are scarce in the grim battlefield. The dinner became ready within an hour and it was very delicious as all the ingredients I used to make it are from the central continent. After the dinner, I picked Ashlyn, who was lying down on her stomach, and placed her on her favorite chair on the balcony while I sat on the chair beside her as I surfed the net. The web on Grim Battlefield is very closed, it's completely disconnected from the outside. The only good thing about it that it had connected with all the Grim Battlefields. There is only one social network in the which is from Adventure's Paradise, on which I have only 2 friends, which are Ruby and Seth. There may be other dark networks, but I don't know about them yet, seeing I have arrived in the Grim Battlefield just today. As I was searching the net, I found that for rookies getting combat score more than 1000 at their first try is very hard, only those extremely talented could score that. No wonder that Seth seemed very proud when he told me his combat score and how he was able to get into the A-class guild directly. I kept surfing the net till late night, reading about everything I need to know about combat score test, which I giving today. I didn't want to make any mistakes as it is my combat score which will decide what type guild will I be eligible for. The guild I am rooting for is S-class guild, but if I did not get into the S-class guild then I wanted to get into the top A-class guild at least. Seeing it is quite late, I closed the net and went to my bedroom to sleep. Find authorized novels and web novel faster updates. Better experience, please click www.novelhall.com for visiting. It was 8 when I wake up. Normally I woke up quite early, but sleeping late makes me wake up late. After taking a shower and eating leftover from last night, I got out of my apartment with a clear destination in my mind. I am going to the Adventure Paradise. In Grim Battlefield, one can measure up his combat score in nearly any Adventure Paradise building as long as they pay with 1000 merit points. It was a good thing that for rookies first chance is free. I won't have to pay anything to measure my combat score for the first time. I called the hover car to take me to the Adventurer's Paradise. There is Adventurer's Paradise branch in every area of Fort Cavendish, but ones that have facilities to measure combat score could only be found in the central area of the Fort Cavendish. With the hover car, it took me 15 minutes to reach my destination. Getting out of hover car, I walked into a huge Adventurer's Paradise building. This is the biggest Adventure Paradise building I've ever seen. It is at least 5 times bigger than the one in the Westblood. As I enter inside it, I've come across the scene of numerous screens projecting all over the hall. It's just that content on the screen is a little different. Most of the screens occupied with jobs related to Grim Race monsters, while the rest of the jobs are about the things they need from outside. The outside area is a treasure trove. The dark energy released through the space cracks produced many precious treasures that are in very high demand, that one would get a high price from them. Taking a brief look at the screen, I walked toward the information counter. Before going to measure my combat score, I have one important thing to do. Hello, where can I replace my holowatch? I asked the pretty clerk who was behind the information counter. Go to the third floor, where you can ask any person there to change your holowatch, she replied with a professional smile. Thank you, I said and walked toward the elevator. This is the holowatch I have since I was 15, it was issued from my school, it is still working properly but signs of tears could be seen. I wanted to replace it West Blood but I somehow forgot to do that whenever I visited the Adventurer's Paradise but this time I have no choice but to change it. This basic model holowatch won't able to survive Grim Battlefield and I have received notification yesterday that if I did not replace this holowatch within a month, it will stop working after that. Hello, I want to change my holowatch, I said to the male clerk on the third floor. I would have asked the pretty female clerks but all of them are busy. The male clerk nodded and tapped a few buttons on the counter and the next second 22 different types of holo watches projected in front of me. All of them offer different specifications, the only common thing about them that all of them are way better than holowatch. The price of them are starting from 300 credits to 50,000 credits and all of them came with different types of variations. After looking at them for 15 minutes, comparing their specification I finally chose the holowatch which had put a large dent in my finances. Chapter 345 Battle I. Please place your holowatch here, the clerk said motioning toward the counter. I nodded and removed my holowatch from my left hand and placed it on the counter. As I placed my holowatch on the counter became like mud for a second and sucked my holowatch right in. I was quite surprised to see that happening but next moment a deep purple holowatch appeared from the counter, the same way my old holowatch sucked in. Here's your new holowatch, it has all your previous data, said the clerk. I nodded and picked up my new holowatch excitedly. It is a deep purple in color and a little bigger but lighter than my old holowatch. It looked quite striking with 4 projections crystallized installed in 4 sides which, it will make seeing projections more clear than my previous holowatch which had only 1 projection crystal embedded inside it. Thank you, I said as I left the counter after checking everything is right with my holowatch. Now, that I did with all the miscellaneous stuff, it is time to do the thing, I have come here. Going back to the first floor, I walked toward the different groups of the elevator and boarded one of them. These elevators are special, instead of going up they go down. In this Adventurer's Paradise that facilities that measured combat score are built underground. I scanned my holowatch to the elevator and it started to take me down. A few seconds later it finally stopped and I got out of it. As I got out of the elevator, I saw a big hall from me which has doors every corner of it. People could be seen coming and going out of it. They are entering those doors with excited and enthusiastic mood but when they came back, they came utterly battered. There are 16 doors on this floor. Those doors lead chamber where combat score is measured. My luck is quite well that there are several chambers are opened, seeing that I quickly wore the artifacts that I wasn't wearing. Ruby said it didn't matter how many artifacts I wore, they will have no effect on my combat score. There are high-level sensors in the chamber which can accurately distinguish between the power of self and the power of artifacts. After wearing all the artifacts, I walked toward one of the unoccupied doors. Ting! With the soft bell, the door to the chamber opened as I scanned my holowatch to the door. As the door opened, I walked into the chamber. As I took steps inside the chamber, I found it quite big. It is big enough that I will not face the necessity of the space when fighting inside it. It was all stark white and empty, except for the whiteness of the space nothing could be seen. The door which I came from also became while, if not for seeing a black handle, I would have definitely thought that the door had disappeared. As I was wondering where the opponent I would be fighting, a big hole opened and from it, a 4-meter metallic creature came out. This creature really surprised me. I was expecting to fight an android but what appeared in front of me is weird robot. At one glance, it looked like Treyant but when one really looked at it, one will find not only it had long metallic wired as vines, it also had muscled hands and feet. This creature simply looks like fusion of man and Treyant made of metal and fighting it not only going to be a physical but psychological challenge also. Fighting is going to be hard especially constrained space like this chamber. If I did not guess wrong then this robot not only can launch long and mid-range attacks through its metallic vines but it can also perform short-range attacks. The fight will start in minutes time. All challenger have to do is survive as fighter number 565 strength will increase 25% every minute. A metallic voice rang out with projection of digital clock appeared in the center of the room. I am not surprised hearing the announcement as Ruby and Seth had told me about it. The only surprise is fighter robot, which is different in every fight. Ruby said the first fighter she had fought to measure her combat score was giant humanoid, which was able to shoot energy beams. From them, both told me and what I found through the web, in the combat score measurement process one will have to fight different metallic robots. Some were normal while some were downright weird, but all of them had two things in common: that whatever robot they fought. First is they all are able to perform short, mid and long-range attacks, and all robot power would increase 25% every minute. They are even able to come up with rough guessing of combat score on how much time one will be able to survive against the robot. It is said that those who are able to fight for 10 minutes will have combat score of around 1,000 points, those who are able to fight for 20 minutes will have combat score of around 2,000 points, those who are able to fight for 30 minutes will have combat score of around 3,000, and so on. Fighting every minute can give one combat score of around 100 points, but getting it is said than done, as every minute power of robot would increase 25%. In fights like this, one can fight fine 1 minute, but the next minute he can get utterly beaten as strength of robot will increase by 25%. This is the reason why 95% of those who measure their combat score for the first time didn't last for more than 5 minutes, and 99.9% first-timer didn't survive more than 10 minutes. 30 seconds on the timer had already passed, and now there is only 30 seconds left before I have to fight this metallic giant in front of me. Find authorized novels and web novel faster updates. Better experience, please click www.novelhall.com for visiting. In that time, I decided to observe it carefully so that I will be able to fight against it longer. It is said that every one of these robots has the strength of elite martial stage evolver, and all of them are imported from the central continent, as people of our continent did not have technique or skill to create such robots. 13 years ago, when the Grim race had launched a big attack on the Fort Cavendish, and manpower of Fort was not enough to survive against them at that time, the Fort had used these robots to buy time before the reinforcements arrive. 987. Finally, countdown inched toward 0, and I became ready to launch my attack as it hit 0. 3, 2, 1, 0. Sup sup sup. Finally, the countdown hit 0, and that exact moment, vines of metallic wires attacked me very fast speed. These metallic vines are very dangerous, and if they attack normal lieutenant stage, he will find himself skewered before he could think how to defend itself from it. But unfortunately for this weird robot, this attack of his nothing in front of me, it didn't even require for me to use my rule power, just using half power of my strengthening skill is enough. Chapter 346 Battle 2. Clank clank clank. I swiftly take out my sword from its sheath, and it clashed against all 7 metallic vines that struck at me from all directions, but that was just starting of their offense. Clank clank clank. The metallic vines started to madly flail at me, but no matter how much they tried, they aren't able to counter my tight defense. The power of these vines could be compared to the average lieutenant stage, but at the skill they are being used is way above that, and I am defending against this lieutenant stage attacks without using any rule power. If I did not have the huge fighting experience and skill, then I would have to use my strengthening skill at its limit, and might as well have had to add little rule power in it to increase my speed, but for now, I have no need to do that. The robot hadn't moved from its place, it just stood there like a statue, with only attacking me with its vines. Fire strike. Fire strike. Fire strike. While clashing with 7 metallic vines of Tree Man robot, I also launched an attack at it. Just that this attack contains 5% power of the Sunfire rule. If I attacked normal Firebolt or Special Firebolt with no ruling power, it would have made no effect on this robot, as this robot have the power of the lieutenant stage. Ruby had told me not only I had to defend against the attack of robots, but I had to attack as well, and my attacks have powerful, and only then would I be able to gain more combat score. As in real fight against the opponent, it did not matter how good you counter your enemy's attacks, but how quickly you defeat, and to defeat the opponent, one will need to have powerful offensive. Fire strike, fire strike, fire strike. Find authorized novels and web novel faster updates. Better experience, please click www.novelhall.com for visiting. Ting. I again launched 9 fire bolts with 5% power of sun fire. By the time I launched my last bolt, 1 minute had been over and I felt a sudden increase of power from the metal vines. Their strength and speed increased suddenly and their attacks have become even more skilled. It was a good thing I was ready and just have to increase my pace again to counter them. Their speed and strength had increased, but I am still able to maintain my pace without increasing the power of my skill. The Treeman robot hadn't moved from its spot, but that's not surprising as from what I read, the robot didn't move from his spot of at least 60 minutes. For at least 60 minutes, it will keep attacking with its long-range attack and it will move only after the 6th minute was over. Ruby said that robot she had fought kept attacking her with energy beams for an 11 minutes and only moved at 12 suits. In Seth's case, it was early but still, the robot moved from its spot at 8 minutes. It is different for everyone, but one thing is common, that the robot won't move from its place before 6 minute. Fire strike, fire strike. I again launched the concentrated fire bolts, but the power of rule is increased in this attack from 5% to 10%. I plan to increase the rule power every minute by 5% till it reached low level of basic stage, as this is the maximum I've ever used in the fight. Ting. Clank clank clank. The 3rd minute started and the power and skill of attack increased by 25% more, and I finally started to feel the strain that I had to use the full power of my strengthening skill to feel at ease again. Now 2 bands of dark green could be seen on my hands and feet. That is the sign of me using full power my strengthening skill, as well as of 2 amethyst seals of supreme combat exercise. With 2nd green band appearing on my body, the power of my strengthening skill had increased, and it, not simple increase of 1 time but 3 times as the first band, could not able to use all the power of amethyst seals, but with 2 bands together, they better able to utilize the power of amethyst seals in my both. 4 minutes had started and its power had increased again, but I did not feel anything. Even when the 5th minute had started I did not feel that much heavy strain, only when 6 minutes had started that's when I started to feel the strain of my combat. At 6 minutes, the power of robot could be compared to reaching near peak lieutenant stage and me barely able to counter its attacks with the power of my strengthening skill. I wanted to merge the power of rule and my skill to give its boots, but I refrained myself from doing that. I wanted to test my limit and wanted to counter the power of this just with the power of my strengthening skill. Only when I challenge my limit, only then I will able to advance forward, only in such a pressured fight would my fighting skills would increase. Beads of sweat could be seen on my body as I counter the 7 metallic vines. One could tell just by looking at me how hard time I am having to defend against the metallic vines, but despite having a hard time, I did not let any metallic vines hit my body. As I kept defending against the vines, only then I noticed the true value of body cleansing exercise. If it was before, I would have started to feel a little soreness all over my body as I making such intense movement, but now I not feeling a shred of the soreness in my body. It is now working like a well-oiled machine. The 7 metallic vines are acting like they have a life of their own, striking at the different direction of my body like poisonous snakes, striking at the weakest point I produced. I have to be very vigilant, not showing any weak points that it could exploit. It was not for me having the good fighting skill and a flexible body that would not be strained no matter how unnatural movements I made. The 7th minute is coming closer and closer, and I know at my current power I won't last more than 3 seconds in 7 minute. To fight in the 7th minute I would have to increase my power, otherwise my condition would become worse than a dead dog. Finally, there is only 1 second remaining to the start of the 7th second, seeing that I infused 10% rule power in my strengthening skill, 5% would have been enough, but I didn't want to take any chances. I don't know now, but if I didn't have infused 10% rule power in my strengthening skill, I would have definitely regretted it. Ting. 7th minute started and power of Treeman robot has reached that of peak lieutenant stage that is very skilled in fighting. Its power could be compared to the super elite of lieutenant stage. As the bell of the 7th minuet rang, all 7 metallic vines whipped at me, not only that the 4 metal tall robot is coming at me with rocket speed with its big fist out. Seeing that, now I really think myself infusing 10% of rule power into my skill, otherwise, I wouldn't be able to respond to the fist that about to strike me like a meteor. Chapter 347 Battle 3. The robot came at me with very fast speed while it did not stop its attack of metallic vines. It was a good thing that earlier I merged 10% of my rule power instead of the 5%, otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to respond to the huge fist that coming toward. I did not even bat an eye seeing the fist, just calmly waited for it while defending against the metallic vines. Clank clank clank. The fist came close to me and I instantly increased the power of my sword to throw away metallic vines, so I could clash against fist. Find authorized novels and web novel faster updates. Better experience, please click www.novelhall.com for visiting. Bam! Finally, the fist and my sword clashed against each other head-on. It was a big clash that produced shockwave, but despite that, nor robot or I took a step back. Clank clank clank. Without waiting for anything, it again attacked me with metallic vines and also started using kicks and punches. If normal Captain Stage Evolver were to face such intense attack, he would turn bloody with all of his bones broken within 10 seconds. Fire strike! Fire strike! Seeing the opportunity, I quickly launched 2 firebolts which were infused by the 35% of my rule power. Attacking is important. Not only it helps gain more combat score points, but it also slows down a robot, its slowness depending on the power of my attack. I am sure that if I had attacked with all my power, it will stop and still like a statue. It will stay like that till the minute is over. I am sure that with me using all my power, I have ability make statue stop on its spot till 15 minutes straight, and that is just my guess as I hadn't used my full power anyone against it yet. The 8th minute started and I merged 15% of my rule power into my strengthening skill while used 40% in my attacks. Fighting this robot is like fighting an opponent which had 10 arms. It is literally fighting 10-arm monster, as this robot is not only attacking me with 7 metallic arms, it also attacking me with its big arms and fists. 8th minute had passed and 9th had come, but I did not feel much pressure as the robot is currently displaying the power of the Captain Stage Evolver and I have plenty of experience fighting the Captain Stage. In the past 3 months, I many times went into the forest. Captain Stage monsters are like chicken to me. 10th minute came and power of robot had increased again, and to match against it, I also had to increase my power again. It has been 10 minutes since the fight started and I already stayed in the chamber. More than 99% rookies failed to do so, but I had long anticipated I would last this much. With me having the power of peak 2nd level rule, which comprehension has reached halfway to the medius level, my power had reached the present level. Ever since I comprehended rule power, I have never used it fully. I have come very close using it fully one time against Andy, but at the last minute, I took back 30% power in fear of killing him. It was the right decision, otherwise I would have vaporized Andy despite him also comprehending the peak 2nd level rule, as there was large difference between our comprehension. He was quite powerful and was easily able to crush anyone that came anyway, but in front of every move of his got vaporized. Time passed by and finally 13th minute came. At the 13th minute both Ruby and Seth likely had reached their limit, but I still have very much fighting power left in me. Chapter 348 Battle 4. 21st minute had finally started, but this time it is a little different for me as this is the only second time I will be using above 70% power of Sunfire rule. Well, robot is now displaying the power of peak major stage evolver and I am fighting it just with the power of sergeant stage evolver. Of course, there is rule power that makes it all possible. Otherwise even super elites of Sergeant Stage couldn't beat the normal Major Stage Evolver, as the difference between them is too great. Ruby and Seth must have comprehended the 3 RD level rule or have 2 ND level rules with low comprehension to only last till 13th minute when they first measured their combat score. If they had a high comprehension of rule, they would have lasted more than that. Even Andy, who I beat at single strike, would able to last till 21st minute with the power of his peak 2 ND level rule. This grim battlefield is an amazing place to make the fast progress. As yesterday, I sensed a threat from both Ruby and Seth. Ever since I comprehended the rule of killing, instinct and senses received an upgrade. With just a look, I can sense the threat from other people. Both Ruby and Seth are very strong. Their combat score is definitely is 5,000 or above to make me feel such a threat. After 14 minutes, I stopped increasing the power of my offensive and kept using only 70% of my rule power for the offense as I felt it was enough against robot that captain stage. At the 15th minute did it started to display the power of major stage, but even against that, I was faring quite well, but it will change at 22 and second. As at 22 and second, the robot will display the power of the colonel stage evolver, which will be on a completely different level. At every 3 stages, there is a qualitative change. When one enters the sergeant stage from the corporal stage, he will feel the qualitative change in his strength. It is many times greater than the normal level up between stages. The same happened in captain stage and colonel stage. I did not feel much effect of this qualitative change as I have rule power, but if I didn't have that I would have been definitely felt elated after leveling up to the sergeant stage. Find authorized novels and web novel faster updates. Better experience. Please click www.novelhall.com for visiting. Not only robot's power but my power also experiences the qualitative changes. Till now the rule power I had been using is low level of the basic stage, but above 70% I will be using rule power that of low level comprehension. This is my true trump card, which even I am unable to predict how powerful it is. That is why I have been making mistakes on predicting my own power. I hope that this trump card will help me get enough combat score that I will be able to enter the S-Class Guild. Only a second is remaining before 22nd minute start, fearing robot's power will increase suddenly as it will display the power of the colonial stage. I merged 75% rule power in my strengthening skill. Ting! The 22nd minute started and robot's fist and metallic vines came at me at the same time. I decided to deal with fist first at it faster and more destructive than the metallic vines. Bam! Bang! As my sword and fist clashed, I heard huge bam, and the next second I could robot had flown back with crashing speed as it finally crashed against the wall with bang. Hun, that was unexpected. I knew that this blow will be powerful but did not expect to be this powerful. It took a while for robot to stand up and came to attack, but it came. If I launched this attack before 21st minute, this robot would have stayed on its spot till the minute is over, but now it is different. The robot now has the power of colonel stage, which is different from the other stages. Colonel stage, general stage, and marshal stage are the last 3 stages of the 12 basic stages, and they are especially powerful than the other 9 stages. Till now its stages was roughly divided in 7 minutes, but from the 22nd minute, there will be about 14 minutes of colonel stage. That is the general equation of robot's fighting method, but it does not always hold true, as sometimes some exception happens. Like now at 22nd minute, the robot is showing the power of average colonel stage, but at the next moment it could directly show the power of elite colonial stage, which it shows in 33rd second. Nothing is defined when one is taking combat score measurement test, especially 21st second. 22nd minute quickly passed over as robot kept banging against the wall whenever I attack. At 23rd minutes, the result wasn't much different than that of the 23rd as robot kept banging against the wall. I kept attacking it while it is down, not giving it a single chance to fight back. Initially, I thought, I will need to use my speed skill and some other skill after 20 minutes, but now it looks like it will take quite some time for it to make me give my all. Bang bang bang. 24th minutes had started, and in these minutes, the robot started to show some resistance to my attacks, but still, I had a huge upper hand as I kept banging it against the wall of the fighting chamber. Its 7 metallic vines and the human body is not able to penetrate my defense even slightly. 25th minute was the same, but 26th this little different, as at 26th minute when robot started to barely avoid being crushed against the wall with every attack of mine. At 27th minute, it started to launch the counterattack on me, but its counterattacks was very slow that I was easily able to avoid them without any effort. Just like the 27th minutes, 28th was the same where I could counter attackers, but it changed 29th minute where I started to feel the strain and started to go on the defensive move. At 30th minute, the strain on me increased even more that I had to go the fully defensive. In the 30th minute, I did not get a single chance to launch an attack. Bang bang bang. At 31st second, I merged 80% of my rule power in my strengthening skill, and the whole process of robot tree man crashing against started repeating itself. By the 34th minute came, the robot barely able to able itself from crashing against the wall. I was quite happy seeing that his robot is now fighting me with power of the peak colonial level powerhouse, but now time is over at 35th minute. The robot will increase its power that of the general stage. The general stage is the second last stage of 12 basic stages, and after that is the martial stage, the last stage before one could enter the completely new stage of power. Taking no chances, I merged 85% of my rule power in my skill as there is only a second before 35th minute start. Ting. The 35th minute started and I found robot speed suddenly increased tremendously and its fist which is far away comes very close to me that I barely had any time to defend properly. All I could do make my sword stand vertically to bear defend against the fist of the robot that is very close to me. Clank. Thud 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 thud. As the giant fist crashed against my sword which I hastily put up in front of me as defense, I felt immense shock traveling in my body. This shock was so immense that if I didn't have my body covered with 85% rule power then it would have broken into several pieces despite wearing whole totem artifact gear all over my body. Still, I had to take 5 steps back to defuse the power blow that had coursed through my veins. Danger hadn't been over 7 snakes like vines coming at me with very fast speed. Chapter 349 Battle v Final. Seeing the 7 vines coming at me speedily, I activated my speed skill and defense skill and merged 85% of rule power into them. Though, activation of these skills won't help me much against the vines that are coming from me as they will reach me before the skills are fully activated, but they will be a great help to against future attacks like the fist that is coming just behind the vines. Seeing those vines right in front of my heart started to beat up fast. The 2 skills I am activating won't help against these 7 vines as they will be activated way too late. The only option I am seeing successfully defending against these vines Isis merged or power rule power in my skill, but I don't want D2 that, as I was just imagining the pain I will feel when one of these vines I suddenly remember the move I once saw and decided to perform it. Find authorized novels and web novel faster updates, better experience please click www.novelhall.com for visiting. This time I will not deal with each vine at a time as I will not be able to fend off all of them. Instead I did the weapon movement. I have seen the memory when I was comprehending killing rule from the axe at Rule Palace. This movement is one of the few things I was able to see clearly in the memory. He had performed it with the axe but I am doing it with axe. I hope it will be successful or these vines sure going to feel pain. Clank. Injecting all maximum mana in my sword, I swung my sword 3 times as fast as I could. At every swing, at first slash my sword clashed 2 metal vines that were coming for my shoulder and chest. A great shock had traveled as when my sword clashed against the 2 metallic vines. I am wont to relax my arms to absorb tabo but I did not and swung the swung sword forcefully. Clank clank. This time, my sword also clashed against 2 vines and this time the shock I felt in my arm is even more powerful than the last time as last time's shock is still lingering in my arm. The combination of both of shock is enough to make my arm a little slow. Normally, it would be not a problem if my arm a little slow as motions I am performing is taking a fraction of seconds, not even full second, sometimes delay of microsecond did not matter much but now it matters very much. So, I forcefully gritted my teeth as swung my sword at 3 metallic vines that are coming toward me in a way I saw it in the memory. Clank clank. My sword clashed against the 2 vines and it slowed down a little involuntarily due to shock my arm is bearing, seeing that my heart stopped. If I didn't do anything, the vine going to attack my neck and power of this blow is fatal enough to kill me. The robot will stop before it could seriously injure but stopping it only mean the fight will be over. I don't want that to happen as I haven't reached my limit yet. The only way to stop that vine attacking me is to merge more rule power in my 3 skills. The boost it will give me will be more than enough to deal with that attack but I really didn't want to go with option. Clank. Seeing no choice, I was about to merge more rule in my skills so I could defend against that vine attack when I noticed the speed of my sword had suddenly increased and I was able to effectively deal with that attack. I first didn't understand what happened at first but as gaze fell on a faint layer of yellow and blue covering the body, I understood the reason. I was able to successfully defend against it because my skill had activated a little earlier than I had expected. I wanted to shout in joy at that, but I didn't have time as the fist of robot which is in front of me and right behind that are metallic vines I just defended against. Clank clank clank. Crouching, I avoided its fist and madly swung my sword against its torso before the next fist and vines arrived. Clank clank clank. As time passed on, my sword kept crashing against the robot. I mostly tried to dodge its attacks, but some attacks which cannot be dodged is confronted by my sword. The more attacks I launched against its body, the more points I will receive. Finishing fight quicker the better, especially in a place like Grim Battlefield where danger lurks at every point. Half the 35th min had a minute had passed while the other half is passive speedily in intense fighting. As I was fighting a robot I started thinking about the power of robot. Soon 35th minutes had comminuted and 36th had stated, but there is no change in my fight with robot. A second before 36th minute had started, I had merged 90% power of Sunfire into 3 of my skills. I had expected to gain upper hand in 36th minute as I had increased power increased by 5%, but to my surprise, the result was the same. As the 36th minute passed and 37th minute started, I merged 95% of my rule power in my skills, but no use as in these minutes also I did not get an upper hand. 37th minute had passed and 38th minute had started, and this most important minutes of my minutes I am using all the rule power I have, which is 100%. I have never used the power of the Sunfire fully in any fight. I had merged it 100% in a fit of anger but quickly took back 30% when I was fighting against Andy, fearing I will kill him. Well, what I thought is really true, as if I had attacked at 100% of my power that Andy would have definitely vaporized on the spot. The summit lowly comprehension had already reached halfway through the mid-stage mid-lower stage. I am confident if it had been the peak of low level, I would have easily able to fight any general stage evolver. The rule power is very powerful, especially peak 2 and D level rule. Their power of is amazing. Thinking that I couldn't help but wonder how powerful the 1st level rules would be. They have the power to break the sky and turn the ground asunder. I couldn't help but shudder when I thought about the power of 1st level rule. Clank 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 clank. As my sword clashed against the robot, sparks could be seen flying all around the chamber. It's like small fireworks lit up whenever I clashed against any part of robot. This is happening because every attack of mine and robot packed considerable power, but also due to me using rule of Sunfire, which is hot extremely, had the power to vaporize whatever it touched. Currently, I am fighting the robot with my full power, but 5 seconds later when 39th minute will start, I will not have any trump card. It will be a challenge just to resist for a second. Chapter 350 Applying to S-Class Guilds. Only 3 seconds are remained for 38th minute to be over, and this time I have no trump card left to power up. Currently, I am fighting the robot with the equal ground, but the next minute, its power going to increase tremendously, but I didn't have any trump card against it. It will be a challenge just to stand in front of it for a second, much less fighting it for a few minutes, but still, I am very happy seeing that. I was able to fight robot till 38th minute, which is very few rookies were able to do. Ting. Time ticked by and finally 39th minute had started. It was a good thing that second before I had put some distance between us. So, when 39th minute would start, it will take at least half a second for its attacks to reach me. While in that half-second time I had taken out shield-type totem artifact which I hadn't used till now, and also started to circulate Supreme Combat Exercise which I hadn't circulated in quite a while. Zap zap zap. Thud thud. Sound of metallic vines and robots' footsteps could be heard as they come at me. Their speed is faster than ever before. Clank batting. Fuck. Everything happened so fast that I barely had a chance to understand myself. Before starting of 39th minute, I thought if not a full minute, I would at least survive for a few seconds of 39th minute, but I was very wrong. As the first metallic vine crashed on my shield, I received an immense shock that swept me off my feet and made me crashed on the wall of the chamber. If not for the wall became very soft as I crashed across it, I'm very sure now every bone in my body would have been broken and I wouldn't be far from death. Challenger defeated. Calculating combat score. I had just gotten off the wall wobbling when I heard robotic voice coming somewhere from the chamber. The battle had been over the second. I flew away like a cannonball toward the wall. The fight had been good, my only regret is that I hadn't been able to fight for 40 minutes. With me fighting for 40 minutes, there would have been a very high chance that I would get a combat score of 4,000 points, but with me lasting only for 39 minutes, the chance of me getting combat score of 4,000 points is low. Nothing is definite, by some miracle I might get 4,000 points, I thought hopefully, but soon shook my head at my wishful thinking. I will come to know my combat score in 5 minutes, in that time I should drink some potion to heal my injuries. That last blow was quite something. I am quite injured by it despite robot controlling its strength last moment and wall turning fluffy at last second to save me from injuries. Huh. I started to feel good as the cool sensation of the healing potion started to wash over my body, starting to heal all the small and big injuries I have received. Challenger number 34363, congratulations on getting combat score 4347. Hyun. The thing I was waiting to hear finally rang out, but when I heard what my combat score is I couldn't help but get surprised. An involuntary sound comes out of my mouth. I was pretty sure that my combat score wouldn't be higher than 4,000, but shockingly my combat score is 4,347, which is totally out of my expectations. I even suspected I heard wrong and only became sure after reading the mail on my HoloWatch which showing my combat score. I walk out of the chamber with a big excited look on my face. I am feeling very excited having such a big combat score. With it not only I can apply for any A-class guild, but I can even apply to the S-class guild also, and there's quite a high chance that I will get accepted. S-class guilds only accept the best and rookies need a combat score of 4,000 points just apply in it. Getting accepted in is an entirely different thing. Despite that, I feel that I have a very good chance to get into the S-class guild, and the reason for that is that the rule power which I have. Those who come to the grim battlefield first time are those captain stage or above, and they did not have rule power, but compared to them I am different. I am just at sergeant stage and also have high level rule power, which put me way above the normal rookies that came to the grim battlefield. After getting my combat score, I did not stay at Adventurer Paradise any longer and returned back to my apartment. I have got my combat score. Now it is time to send the application to the guilds, and I am only going to send the application to the best guilds, which are the S-class guilds. There are only 5 S-class guilds in Fort Cavendish, which are Silver Butterfly, Raging Thunder, Black Cloud, Scythe, and Red Flag. There is no ranking between them as all of them boost near equal power. With me having above 4,000 combat score, I am eligible to apply for all 5 S-class guilds, but I will only be able to apply only 4 guilds as Silver Butter only accepts women. As for the other 4 guilds, they accept both men and women. Applying for the guilds are very easy to process. I just have to log on to their site and submit my combat score and battle video from which my combat score is measured. I one by one sent my application to the all S-class guild, hoping to get accepted in any of these 4 guilds. I think my chances of getting in the S-class guild are quite high, but they are not 100%, it will depend on guild if they need me as their member. Ruby had said that connections of these S-class guilds are quite wide and they run a detailed background check on every member they accept. I think the only weakness I have is my background. It is the only thing that could stop me from becoming a member of the S-class guild. If I had joined any organization back in the Republic, my chances to get into the S-class guild would have been even better, but unfortunately, I didn't, but I didn't regret it one bit. I am now not a bit less than a member of the Oni organization. Fighting prowess is equal to their best members. I can fight super elite of the same grade head on and not loose, and all that without the help of rule power. I quickly finished by sending all 4 applications. I will get an answer in 3 days. In 3 days, I will know if I get into the S-class guild or not. As for what I will do in these 3 days, I have a pretty good idea. It's just that this idea is very dangerous, especially for a rookie like me. Find authorized novels and web novel faster updates. Better experience, please click www.novelhall.com for visiting. Chapter 351, Sardine Hills. Tomorrow I plan to head outside. Normally it is advised for rookies to go outside without experienced members, but that is only applied to weak rookies who have combat scores less than 1,000. I am not overconfident, but with my power, I will be safe as long as I didn't venture out a safe area. I would have not done this, but I have nothing to do for 3 days. I could sightsee, but I can do that later also. There are many amazing things in the city, some of which I have only heard from the mouth of those from the awakening ground, but all of them expensive, the few thousand merit points I have spent in just a few hours. Now that I had decided to go outside, I should make the right preparation for that. There are many things I would need to buy before going outside, but most important is crystal disc. This is a must-have item that everyone needs. The cheapest crystal disc cost 5,000 merit points, and that is the lowest grade crystal disc in the market. If I would just wait for a few days, I can get crystal disc for free, and that crystal disc would have better quality than the one I am buying. Every guild offers its members free crystal disc as it is an essential item. Even C-class gold offers better crystal disc than the one I bought. After the crystal disc, I brought some other miscellaneous items which left my account with just a few hundred merit points. I hope this trip will be worth it and earn me some merit points. After buying stuff, I started to look for an area where I am going to hunt. I didn't have to search very long, as Adventure Paradise sites had listened to names of hunting grounds, which is good for the rookies to hunt. I selected the Sardine Hills. It is quite a famous area amongst the strong rookies, and many experienced evolvers also hunt there. This hunting ground is a little dangerous for normal rookies, but with Ashlyn and my power combined we can manage any Grim Race monster, and if by some bad luck we come across some strong Grim Race monster, I can definitely run away from it. The whole day passed quickly while I am busy researching for tomorrow's adventure. Sufficient research is necessary before any big adventure. After finishing my research, I started to perform body cleansing technique, which had become a daily habit of mine. Still, I was only able to perform till 15th pose before falling into the ground like a dead dog, and only able to get after half an hour. Ring ring ring. I am woken by alarm before dawn, and I started to make my preparation to leave. I have already packed everything yesterday, still I did a double count of things in case I forgot anything. An hour later, I stood up in front of the bed, carefully looking at 5 totem artifact that is placed on it. Of the 6 totem artifacts, 5 of them are at Colonel grade while 6th one Marshal. It is a bright red sword which I got in the way to the awakening ground. The 5 Colonel grade totem artifact in front of me are exchanged and brought with Jill's help. They all are very suitable to me. As for showing such high-level artifacts here, I am not worried about that, as nearly all people here are wearing the same level of totem artifacts as these on the bed. The only enviable thing on me is the red sword, which is mid-level martial grade totem artifact, which I will not show in public, only use it when I am alone, and as for weapon to show in public, I have brought a special sword. I started to wear my artifacts one by one: mask, armor, shield, boots, and finally put a dark blue sword by my waist. Seeing everything is ready, I walk out of my apartment. After getting out of my apartment, I called the hover car. It arrived a few minutes later and sped toward the east gate at a swift speed. This is the fastest hover car I've ever sat. Even in the Republic, when hover cars flying outside the city ain't this fast. With such speed, the hover car took just 7 minutes to reach the east gate of the Fort Cavendish. Holy shit! A curse came out of my mouth involuntarily when I looked at the east gate. I would have been utterly shocked seeing this gate if not for me seeing the giant runic mountain back at the awakening ground. The city gate is runic structure. Runes could be seen flashing on it now and then, though the runes on it are not dense as the mountain at the awakening ground. Still, it is a second runic structure I've seen, and it is marvelous. The things that involve runes are very difficult to make, especially mega projects such as these city gates. Not only the city gate is marvelous, but the giant cannons that placed the top of it also looked even more marvelous. Each cannon is 10 meters long and hundreds of such cannons are placed on the top of the wall. There are a total of 4 such giant gates across the city from which people can go outside, but it is not the only way. I can see many people flying above it. Not everyone could fly in the city. One needs special permission, which could only be given to high-level powerhouses and off-course members of S-class guilds. Once one became a member of S-class guild, he will gain permission to fly across the city. One didn't need to go to the city gate like normal people. People want to get into S-class guild like crazy, not only because they have super strong members, there are many other reasons for it. Special privileges, access to places that one wouldn't get normally, and status of being member S-class guild. These are also reasons why people want to become its members. If I got accepted in the S-Class guild, then I also could fly over the city wall without having fear of getting shot by security cannons that are hidden in the wall. Tens of thousands of people could be seen getting out of the wall of a second, not wasting the time. I also run through the giant gate like them. When I get out of another side, I saw barren land. There is nothing in front of except for barren land. As people get out of gates, they suddenly spin toward different directions. Some chose to run on the ground while others chose to run on the air. It is as I've expected. From what I've read, 30 kilometers around the Fort Cavendish is completely barren. Grim race monster rarely comes this close. The real hunting starts when one goes out 50 kilometers range of Fort Cavendish. Find authorized novels and web novel faster updates. Better experience, please click www.novelhall.com for visiting. The hunting ground I've chosen is 60 kilometers away from the Fort Cavendish. I plan to travel by air till I reach the boundary of barren land, and then I will travel on the ground. Thinking that, I took a jump in the air and run toward the direction of Sardine Hills. Chapter 352 Sardine Hills 2. Flying through the air, I saw many people who are going the same direction as me. They are traveling on either ground. More than half of the people could be seen traveling in a group, while those who are single are a minority compared to them. I've never been a group person and always preferred to go hunting alone. It must be due to me being a free adventurer, as people from the organization have to do a certain number of missions in the group and they seem to like working in small groups. I've seen very few people from the organization's adventure solo outside, which is mostly done by unaffiliated adventurers like me. As I am running on the air, I saw that I was one of the slowest people here. There are many times faster than me. Well, I am not surprised to see that, as there is a vast difference between me and them. I am using low-level night grade skill as I am still at sergeant stage, while all of them are either using mid-level or high-level night grade skill, seeing they are at captain stage or above. I have even seen some people wearing void boots and flying with their help. Seeing them, I felt very envious. Void boots are crazy expensive and could only be worn by Colonel Stage and above powerhouse. The first time I have seen someone wearing void boots is when I am coming to West Blood City's first time and our train is attacked by the small monster horde. At that time the people who came to rescue us were wearing void boots. I still remember the face of a young man who saved me. He had come flying and killed the monster who about to take my life with a flick of his hand and flew away. I first thought they were rescuers that West Blood City had sent, but much later I've come to know that they are people that Jim's parents had sent to rescue us. As I've said, the void boots are crazy expensive and could be used by Colonel Stage or above, and wearing them one can fly. Real fly, not like us who are walking on air using the skill. Void boots help one fly, real fly. With it they have utter mobility. They can do whatever they want in the air without being risk plunging in the ground, which all skills have. Seeing my speed is slow, and at this speed, it will take me a lot more time to reach my destination, I decided to merge 25% of my rule power into my skill. Fuck. I said out loud as I took the step, my speed is too great. I did not expect my speed to be this faster after I merged my rule power into it, and the worst thing is now I am crashing toward the ground. I have to quickly get control at myself at the moment, otherwise by the speed I am going, I would fare very badly if I crashed against the ground. Fuck. Thud. Cursing internally, I finally somehow able to control myself and able to land on the ground unstable. Fuck, that was close, I said as I take a couple of breath. The increase of speed was totally out of my expectation. I thought since I am in the air by the 25% rule power would give almost double speed of what I get using 25% rule power in my speed type skill, but I was utterly wrong. That 25% rule power has given me 5 times speed boots that of speed skill. That is why I caught so off guard by such speed. He. I started experience such speed. It's not a bad thing but a very good thing. If I come across a very dangerous grim race monster or any other danger, it would really help me to run away. Zup. I shot through the air like rocked as I took the jump. With 25% rule power merged skills, I got amazing speed. The reason for near crashing earlier was I caught off guard by such fast speed, but now I had already export ability. I was able to fly at such a fast speed. My control over such speed is still a little shaky, but I still able to control myself in air, and as time passed I got better and better control over it. That about 45 minutes later, when I reached the boundary of the barren land, I had gained quite got control over it. Thud. Landing on the ground, I looked at the forest in front of me. This forest is a little different from another forest I've seen. Its trees are extremely huge and bulky, one can easily carve out a few stories building out of them. Another strange thing is that I didn't hear monsters sound. This forest is nearly devoid of monsters. All of the monsters have been the one casualty of the war between humans and the Grimm race. Humans had barely killed any monsters, most of them killed the Grimm race. The reason we called Grimm race to people a Grimm race monster that they are in true sense are monsters, they are more monstrous than the monsters. Grimm race is gluttonous race, they will eat anything that came into their sight and their most favorite delicacy is humans. They eat human meat with utter relish. I don't know if it's true or not or Ruby and Seth just said is just to scare me. They said that one day when they were hunting with their group, they had come across Grimm race monster who were barbecuing human bodies and taking a bite out their flesh now and them. Yesterday when they told me this thing, I was 100% sure they were messing with me, but after I have done research, I am not sure anymore. Shaking this thought, I walked into the forest. Sardine Hills are just 20 kilometers from here. I should walk carefully now that entered the forest. Walking through this eerie forest, I felt the foreign energy thickening its amount already 5 times greater than the first space realm I entered. It is a good thing that energy did not affect humans and their bonded monsters. If there is any normal monster, it will be affected by this dark energy within days and change will start happening to its body soon after. As I traveled through the forest, I did not see any Grimm race monsters that I desperately wanted to see. Time passed by as I cautiously traveled through the forest and about an hour later I spotted fish like hills from the distance. I can totally understand why this area is named Sardine Hills. This hill ranges really look like fish, I thought when I looked at the hills. Seeing I have come closer to the hill I started to walk faster and only slowed down when I reached the base of one of the hills. I was just about to start walking on the front of the hill of me when I saw a bulky man is crouching down doing something. After looking at him for a moment I was about to walk away when I noticed something. Find authorized novels and web novel faster updates. Better experience please click www.novelhall.com for visiting. Ears? There were furry ears on bulky man head. Seeing that I became vigilant and just touched my sword when the bulky man turned his head looked at me. What I saw next utterly shocked me as it is not the human head but wolf head which lips seemed to colored with blood. Another treat, it said faintly discernible human language with a fiendish smile on its face which is enough to make one's skin crawl with fear. It slowly stood up and turned toward me and I got a full look at the first Grimm race monster. This Grimm race monster is Wolfman tribe or us humans werewolf all the werewolf tribe, it one of the common but also powerful tribes among Grimm races. It is wearing full-body leather cloths with runic armor, 2 axes could be seen on its waist and it's wearing big pendant in its neck which has strange symbol carved on, it likely to be a symbol of sub-tribe he belonged to. Today my luck is very good, I had just finished lunch and wasn't quite satiated from it but spirits heard my wish and sent you here, so I could finally sate my hunger. It said in a thick weird accent and that when I finally noticed its bloody fingers and broken human bones that when I finally understood the cruelty of the Grimm battlefield. Chapter 353 Werewolf I think I have taken this Grimm battlefield too lightly. In my mind, I always thought as another West Blood city where I will regularly hunt monsters and earn the money. I truly didn't understand the gravity of the word war mentioned in the informative document I had read. It had said understand that we have been war with Grimm race for thousands of years. It might not seem like it but we are constantly fighting against them. My mistake of assuming the Grimm race same as the monster race unconsciously was huge. Grimm race is not just a dumb monster but a race that has similar intelligence as us. Even if I don't want to, I have to consider them equal and treat it as I would treat a powerful evolver otherwise I would really regret it. The Grimm race monster in front of his lieutenant stage and being werewolf tribe it had both speed and strength with quite high defense, the only weakness it has that these werewolves are quick to anger and if agitated they go berserk very quickly. I and werewolf kept looking at each other quietly, I have my hand on my sword while it had also gripped dual axes it had on its waist, the blade of axes is still laced with blood and from its coppery smell, I could tell that blood likely from the human that it had just eaten. My lunch, Do you have any wish the way you want to be eaten? I personally like to eat raw, but since I am in good mood, I can entertain your wish," asked Werewolf mocking voice while licking the blood off its lips. I grimaced a little hearing that but soon controlled myself and put a smile on my face. I am also in a very good mood as you are going to be the first Grim race monster that I am going to hunt. So, tell me, do you have a preference the way I catch you before I shove a crystal disc inside you? I asked in the same mocking tone. You, wretched food, you dare to talk to your betters, bellowed the werewolf and attacked me at a very fast speed. So, it is true. Seth had said laughingly that slight mention of crystal disc can make these Grim race monsters angry, and once you mention that you will shove crystal disc into them they will go mad, especially those from Wolfman tribe and Lionman tribe, as they get angry very easily. I was already prepared, and just as it attacked, my strengthening skill and speed type skill which step away from activating got activated, and I also 25% of my rule into my skill. As I merged my rule power, the view front of me had become slightly crimson and the werewolf that is coming at me became slow. Not only that, I could very easily able to every moment of his body and intense emotion of killing he is feeling toward me. Find authorized novels and web novel faster updates. Better experience, please click www.novelhall.com for visiting. This time the rule which I've used is not rule of Sunfire which I got from Ashlyn, but the rule killing which I myself have comprehended. Rule of killing is the best rule for killing. There is no other rule in the second level which is better for killing than the rule of killing. Rule of killing once used not only enhances one's senses but also provide offensive killing energy that once seeped inside the opponent's body not only could make opponents healing slower but also affect one's senses and make them sluggish. I did not move and let the werewolf come closer to the, seeing that expression of confusion had appeared on its face before changing that of glee, as it probably thought I was not able to move because of its fear. Die! It shouted loudly and swung both of its axes at me. I finally moved when it swung its axes at me. I crouched down and advanced toward its left axe which I saw slowly coming toward me. As the axe was just hand distance away, I slightly moved left and moved through space of its arm and arrived at its back before it knew what happened. Slash! Moving to its back, I swiftly attacked its back with all of my strength. It had noticed my attack but it was too slow, dodged it as my sword perfectly cut through its back, drawing the fountain of blood. Ah! It screamed loudly and swung both of its axes at its back, but by the time it did that, I've already moved from its axe's range. You will pay for this wound, you wretched food, bellowed werewolf loudly and again attacked me with its axes, but this time, it was careful as it did not leave any loose spaces from which I could exploit. I activated the shield on my left hand and moved it to intercept the right axe and moved my sword to intercept its left axe. Clank! Clack! Both of our weapons clashed and I felt immense shock traveled my body, but I endured and swiftly moved my sword and slashed my sword across its chest while it was still being shocked, seeing I had intercepted its axes head-on. Slash! Werewolf are the species of immense strength, so when the werewolf saw its opponent stop its blow head-on and did not take a single step back, it had quite shock, but he did not get a time to mull over it as it felt sharp pain across its chest. When it looked down it saw a long bloody slash across its chest. Blood could be seen coming from it in large quantities, and that when it noticed that wound on its back that should have been healed due to its rapid regeneration is still bleeding. Rule power. It said out loud astonishment. A slight fear had appeared on its face before it had hidden it quickly. Oh, you only noticed now? I replied sarcastically and slashed my sword across its neck. Clank. Hee hee. This time it was able to stop my sword, but I already expected it, seeing it became vigilant knowing I have the rule power, and that is why I slightly flicked my wrist and my released from the deadlock of its axes and moved toward its face. Pashak. Fuck, it missed. I cursed. I thought I would give its ugly face a big scar like its chest and back, but it managed to move its face last minute and all I able to draw a slight line of blood across its cheek by its teeth. Food, you have really angered me. It screamed with intense anger. What are you going to do about it then? I asked while keeping my sword ready for attack if I saw a chance. I know, I have underestimated you and you are quite strong for your level, but you thought you can defeat me with just that, then you are gravely mistaken, it said, and suddenly red smoky flame started to come out of its body. Within a second, the red smoke concentrated above its head, forming a loose smoky figure of the wolfman. Spirit totem, I said out loud as I saw the smoky silhouette of werewolf above the werewolf head. Chapter 354 Werewolf 2. I am shocked seeing the spirit totem. I thought this werewolf was just normal but did not expect it to be a low-level elite of its tribe. Grim Race's power system seems similar to our but very different from the core. It is said that the Grim Race comes from the high-level world, and if not for our having restriction of power level, even experts from a small tribe of that world have the power to annihilate everyone in this world. The red smoky werewolf silhouette that appeared above werewolf is spirit totem from its tribe. The spirit totem werewolf, although it is a little fuzzy and made of smoke, one can see its regality. Just one look and feel reverence arose in my heart. If I keep looking another few seconds, I would have definitely kneeled in front of it. It is cautioned that one must never look at spirit totems directly, as all of them have the power to enchant. It's not the totem doing it on purpose, but that, in reality, the original spirit totem is powerful enough that even its impression can charm anyone. It is said to be made from dead souls of their tribe experts. Those tribe spirits are extremely powerful, and those who could draw power from them considered elite of the tribe. Although looking at the totem spirit and information I've read, this totem spirit is the lowest of a kind, but it will still double the power of this werewolf. Thank the God this werewolf is not marked, otherwise, the only choice I would have left was to run far as I can. Yes, this is great spirit totem of my tribe, and now you will face its power, said werewolf with its fiendish smile, and smoky spirit totem came down, started to cover werewolf body with its red smoke. As werewolf covered in a cloak of red smoke, it attacked me, and this time its speed faster than last time, and it is giving off oppressive feelings. Seeing it coming toward me, I also didn't stay on the spot but run toward it. I had already merged 50% of rule of killing into my skill. With it my senses even became sharper and my attacks will be stronger. Clank clank. My sword and shield clashed with its axes, and when I flicked my wrist to slide my sword toward its shoulder, it maneuvered its axe same time and stopped my sword from making the further advances. Clank. Seeing it as being failed, I took back my sword and attacked toward its thigh, which was showing weakness, but I found my sword is blocked just as it started to move. Hun. Looks like it's the spirit totem had not only give boots to its strength, it also gave a boost to its senses, otherwise it would have been very for it to stop my sword this quickly. Your totem spirit is quite good, I complimented. Hearing the compliment from me, a big smile appeared on his hideous face, which looked even more hideous. The majesty of our totem spirit is beyond your comprehension, Food, it said boastingly. If you surrender now and ask for forgiveness, I promise I will give you quick death and enjoy your full body, leaving nothing. It said disdainfully, drunk in power that spirit totem had given it. Well then, I'll sure remember to keep you completely conscious when I shove the crystal disc inside you, I said, teasing voice, while disdain is very apparent in my eyes. You Food, you will pay for what you have just said. I'll make sure you are very alive when I enjoy part of you. It bellowed angrily and attacked me. I did not felt fear as it attacked me in fury. Instead, I rejoiced, as the angrier it is, the more mistake it will make during the battle, and that is the reason why I mentioned crystal disc while teasing it. Crystal disc is the thing is what Grim Race most hate. They preferred to torture than be connected to the crystal disc. Clank clank. Find authorized novels and web novel faster updates. Better experience. Please click www.novelhall.com for visiting. I did not wait for its attack but met it halfway, and as our weapon clashed, no one showed weakness. I searched for weakness in its form, but I find very few, and those I find could not be exploited. Still, I was not disappointed. I just have to wait a little more and chance will show itself. And another thing is, I am having quite fun fighting this werewolf. The totem spirit of this werewolf tribe giving it an enhancement similar to that of my killing rule, so fighting it I am having a better understanding of killing rule I had comprehended. Clank clank clank. We kept fighting, and as the more time passed the better grasp I am having of killing rule. Till now all the opponents I had fought, most of them were a monster, and my friends like Jill. The monsters were no challenge. I was able to kill them as I kill the pigs. As for my friends, except for Jill, I had beaten all. Jill had comprehended two rules somehow. One is normal level 2 rule, rule of speed, while other is peculiar peak level 2 rule. If one wants to fight against that rule, one had to have peak level 2 rule, otherwise people will lose before the fight even started. That's how peculiar that rule is. As more time passed during the fight, I started to understand the fighting rhythm of this werewolf, and I even stopped exploiting the small weakness to show that it is gaining upper hand and I am having a hard time fighting against it as fight longs on. I am doing this for a big chance, and it seemed to be working. This werewolf is not an idiot and had guessed my strategy, as over time it started to show more and more weakness to lure me into making move. The weaknesses it had shown were not only weak but big also, but I was easily able to identify them as traps with my killing rule. Killing rule not only gives one an intuition in fighting, but it also lets one catch a slight glimpse of opponent emotion upheaval, and if one's smart enough, one can identify traps that opponent led in the fighting. With aid of killing rule, I did not attack any major traps. I had to attack some of the weaknesses to show that I still fighting with my all, but I am becoming cautious as fight longs on. Finally, enough time later, it started to lose his vigilance and becoming bold, fighting me, believing I having a hard time fighting it, and this what I was waiting for. Now that its vigilance against me had loosened, I am going to make my move once it showed the big weakness and going finish the fight in a single move. I have to wait for quite long, as the chance had come 15 minutes later, but it's worth it. It had just attacked me with quite a speed, but I was able to dodge it, and now that it had missed it is retreating while giving me access to its chest. This is quite a big chance, and I am sure it's not the trap, as the chest is its weak point. If attacked, one could be mortally wounded, and even if it had guts to use its chest as a trap, I am sure of my ability to retreat. Seeing it is retreating, I quickly moved by my sword, which I used to block its axe just now, flipped and used this flipped momentum to drive the sword directly at its chest. Pack! It saw me flip, and it was a quite good chance to attack, but it cannot, as it was retreating. It still tried it though by throwing his axe, which I avoided, but still, it grazed my shoulder. As my flip completed, my sword had built intense moment, and I used all that momentum to drive my sword toward its chest. It discolored seeing my sword coming toward it, and it can't do anything as his other axe will be too slow to block my sword. As my sword just inches away from its chest, it quickly concentrated all the blood-red aura that covering its body toward its chest to form last line of defense. Crackle! While blood-red aura converging toward its chest, my sword finally made contact with it, and a small spark erupted as my killing energy and its blood-red aura touched, but it's still able to stop my sword. All it did was take away little killing energy that was covering my sword. Passing the blood-red aura, my sword felt the real resistance. It seemed like the protection of some artifact. I am not a bit of surprise finding my sword had encountered the resistance. The Grim race is advanced race, and it also had its artifact like us. Just as my sword encountered the resistance, I released all the killing force I had been holding on, and the resistance that my sword had been feeling became butter, and my sword is hot knife as it passed through it, directly piercing the heart of the werewolf. No! It screamed in horror, but nothing it could do as I started releasing killing energy into his heart. The power of its totem spirit had initially put up a fight, but it was beaten back at last by my killing energy as its level was too low. With feeling no other resistance, my killing energy spread through its body, completely immobilizing it, leaving it just brink of death. Chapter 355, Harvesting Mana Crystal. Well, it looks like this food had beaten you, I said mockingly to the werewolf, as I took out the sword from its chest. It wanted to reply to me but cannot, as it is being held immobile by my killing energy. Thud. After taking out my sword from its chest, I gave the werewolf a slight push and it fell on the ground. Do you remember what I promised you earlier? I asked as I removed the adult palm-sized disc from my storage. Seeing the disc, the look of absolute horror appeared on its face. It started to show a struggle, but it was not even able to move the hair on its body. The killing energy released special energy called killing energy. That energy had many uses, and making one immobile, dulling one's senses are one of them. The disc in my hand is crystal disc, which is used by all humans on the Grim battlefield and is an absolute thing of a nightmare for Grim race monsters. I have brought the cheapest and lowest grade crystal disc on the market, and the one I have brought is palm size of an adult and rusty black in color, on which various runes are carved. Find authorized novels and web novel faster updates. Better experience, please click www.novelhall.com for visiting. It looked like this disc is made of wrought iron and not crystal, which its name used to suggest, and from all crystal discs I've seen on the web, no crystal disc was made of crystal. It is called crystal disc for an entirely different reason. I played with crystal disc for a while, adjusting its parameters manually. If I crystal disc a little expensive than this, I would not have to adjust it manually, all would have been done automatically. The only thing I had to was stick to the Grim Race monster. It took me quite a few minutes to get parameters right according to the energy that this werewolf was emitting, and I double-checked it multiple times as I only have this one disc and mistaken parameters could break it. After I checked everything is right, I crouched down in front of the werewolf and showed the crystal disc to it. Its face full of horror when it saw me take out the crystal disc earlier, but seeing it such close, its immobile face had become horror incarnate. If it was able to talk, I am sure it would have begged me to kill it directly and not use the crystal disc. It would have even tried to bribe me multiple things. It would have used all options it could to convince me not to use the crystal disc on it. That is how much they fear the crystal disc. I am the person who always keeps his promise, so now I am going to shove this crystal disc into you, I said to its horror-stricken face, and cut the leather armor from its chest, so I could place the crystal disc on it. There is no restriction on where you stick the crystal disc, you can stick it on whatever place of Grim Race monster body. The only condition it has that crystal disc had to touch the skin of Grim Race monster. After tearing its leather armor off its chest, I softly placed the crystal disc on its chest and touched the button as Werewolf watched it all that with its immobile eyes. As I pressed the button, the runes on it started to lit up one by one and pressed down slowly till it tightly stuck against the skin of the monster. As runes became brighter, a projection appeared in the center of a disc 0%, but a moment later the numbers started to climb up slowly. If I have high-grade crystal disc, the number would have climbed up at higher speed, but alas it is not. As the crystal disc started its work, the look of extreme pain had appeared in its eyes, but inside it has another emotion, and that is the sorrow. Seeing the extreme pain in its eyes, no shred of sympathy for it appeared in my heart. As if it had beaten me, it would have eaten me like it did the previous human it fought. The Grim Race is a cruel race who treat us humans as food, so it is better we kill them as much as possible. The Grim is foreign race used dark energy which is very detestable to our world, so after the Grim Race monster died, its body would get decomposed within a day. The day is for average Grim Race monsters, as those at higher stages take longer time to decompose. The main point is, our world hate them, would do anything to drive them out, and in all that what's the use of crystal disc? Well, by simply meaning the crystal disc are harnessing and converting devices. With the correct runic algorithm, we can harness the energy that presents in the Grim Race monster used and convert into the energy we used with the help of the crystal disc. The capacity of my crystal disc is 5 mana crystals, so, when the projection will show 100%, 1 mana crystal will be produced in the crystal disc. Normal Lieutenant Stage Grim Race monster can give 3 mana crystal, but this one is elite which could summon a spirit totem. It should able to produce more mana crystals. Just till a few days ago, I used to think that mana crystals only found in mine, but now I know there is another source for them, and that is Grim Race. At the current stage, I can't use these crystals as a practicing resource and could only use them as currency. In the memory of White Axe, I have seen the number of crystals its owner needed when he was preparing to make a breakthrough out of the night stage. Ting! A small sound came out of crystal disc indicating that first crystal had been produced, and now it has started producing the second crystal. The werewolf body had quite yellowed as crystal disc kept sucking off its energy. It is still struggling very much with pain and sorrow apparent in its eyes. It must be feeling heart-wrenching pain. If my life force gets sucked out me while I am conscious, I would feel extreme pain during the process. When I thought about that, I remember a year-old memory where I saw the daffodil bees sucking off the life force of the monsters. I still remember the way their screams and sometimes that scenes appeared in my nightmares. I watched it bellowed in pain apathetically, not feeling any mercy for them. Seth and Ruby had told me if one used crystal disc when the Grim Race monster is alive, one can get 10% to 20% more output. For that many people first, bind them and then use crystal disc on them, as not everyone can comprehend amazing rule as rule of killing. This process is very painful on Grim Race, and they bellowed in agony as the crystal disc harnessed the energy out of them. While seeing this process, some idiots feel mercy on them and some dumbfucks even released the Grim Race feeling pity for them. They were Seth's exact words when he was cautioning me. And just as they got released out of pity, the Grim Race monsters did not turn grateful, instead of angry, and attacked their former capture. He had specifically warned me about doing this, as many rookies and even somewhat experienced had lost their lives doing that. Chapter 356 Searching. Ting. The third mana crystal had been created and Werewolf looked like it had aged years and now in its last years. Its hair became dull while and its skin became wrinkly and sickly. I hope that it will survive till this fourth crystal is made at least. Though its body had decayed due to absorption, but its spirit is still there, as it is still struggling with all despite feeling the immense pain of absorption. Seeing that, some feeling mercy had arisen in my heart, but I quickly quashed it before it could take a root. This is war, and in it, there is no space for mercy. Either we killed them all or they exterminate us. This is going to be the only result of this war. As the more time passed by, sorrow became more apparent in its eyes. It had appeared in its eyes since I placed the crystal disc on its chest. It's feeling sorrow not because of its inevitable death, but because he thinks that crystal disc is going to suck all its spirit, and his spirit is not going to be assimilated in his tribe's totem. Every member of the Grim Race had very zealous devotion toward their own tribe's totem, and after death, they wished that their spirit will assimilate into their tribe's totem, but crystal disc won't let them do that, as according to them sucked their spirit. This is why they hate the crystal disc so zealously. We don't know if it's true or not, as their power system involves faith, sacrifices, and different other things. All we know is based on the Grim Race monster over course of thousands of years. Our information about Grim Race's power system would have been more in depth if we were able to see the holy ground of the tribe, but unfortunately, that's not possible, as all holy grounds of all Grim tribes are located in their homeworld. Find authorized novels and web novel faster updates. Better experience, please click www.novelhall.com for visiting. Ting. The fourth crystal had been made, and the werewolf had become a husk of skin and bone which is barely hanging by his dear life by a thread. Well, it didn't matter even if it's dead, the crystal disc going suck all the energy off its body either way. It has been 20 minutes since I placed the crystal disc on its chest, and it had produced just 4 mana crystals till now. If I had high-grade crystal disc, this werewolf would have turned into husk within a minute, and crystals I produced from it would be lot more from it. There is a vast difference between low-grade and high-grade crystal disc. The only saving grace is that both of them produced the same quality mana crystals. It's dead finally, I said as looked at the dead husky body of the werewolf. Still, its eyes were open and emotion, unwillingness, anger, pain, and sorrow still visible in its eyes. The crystal disc is showing is only 21% when the werewolf was dead, and the numbers are still advancing as if the death of the werewolf hadn't affected it a bit. A few minutes more passed when finally the numbers on the crystal disc had finally stopped at 78%. There is still 22% remaining to be filled to make the fifth crystal. Puff. I crouched down and took out crystal disc. Just as I did that, the body of werewolf, which had become dried husk through harvesting of a crystal disc, had collapsed with the puff. I had already expected it and had activated my mask, so I don't inhale any part of the werewolf. I took out the 4 mana crystal from the crystal disc and looked at them carefully. In Republic these things are precious and hard to come by, but here one can just get them through hunting Grim Race monsters. After looking at them enough, I put them back in the storage with crystal disc. After that, I collected 2 axes of the Wereworld and stone bracelet, which is the storage equipment of the Grim Race. I can't open Werewolf's storage device as it needs dark energy of Grim Race, but Adventure Paradise can. They have developed this special technique over the years. After one more time checking, I had left nothing important. I started to climb the hill with Ashlyn. Of course, I didn't forget to burn the poor soul's leftover bones that werewolf left behind after eating him. To find the werewolf, I didn't have to search for very long, but finding the next target to won't be very easy as the Sardine Hills are spread is a very vast area. I still have a few hours. I will try my luck till the time of my leaving. If I will be very happy if I was able to find another Grim Race monster to fight, but even I didn't find any, I won't be sad as I already accomplished the task which I had come here for. I had burning curiosity toward the grim race that we had been fighting for more than 10,000 years. Because of this burning curiosity of mine, I wasn't able to control myself and went outside on just the third day of my coming to the grim battlefield. Experienced adventurers would call it utter idiocy, as it advised to rookies that they first join the guild and only go outside with one's experienced guildmates. One could only hunt alone when one had gained sufficient experience, as this is the grim battlefield, not some normal forest where one could go daily to farm the monsters. 1 hour passed since I finished fight with the werewolf and began to search for my next prey, but I did not find any, but I did hear the faint sound of battle and I am currently walking toward it. I cautiously and silently walked toward the battle, and I stopped when I got close enough to see battle but far enough no can see me. From what I can see, 4 humans are fighting the 3 hogmen, and from what I can see all 2 hogmen at lieutenant stage, while third, which seemed to be their leader, is at captain stage, while of the 4 humans 3 of them are different levels of captain stage while human at major stage. The humans seem to have an upper hand, and if it keeps going this way, I am sure that 4 revolvers will kill the hogmen eventually. Seeing they didn't need help, I started to walk away. I had come to the intention that if the humans in trouble, I could lend them a hand, but they seem all fine. Another hour passed and I did not see any grim race monsters, but I have seen a lot of other stuff that opened my more to the reality of the grim battlefield. Like human skin and bones and husky ashes that grim race leaves behind after it is sucked dry. In this battlefield, when both meet, it is 77% chances that one side either leaves behind their bones or ashes, only a minority of them able to run away from battle after things get tough for them. Choo-choo. Time passed and I decided to leave in an hour if I didn't find any grim race monsters to hunt when I heard a chirp from Ashlyn. "Do you smelled something?" I asked. I had asked her to keep her nose on grim race, and if she smelled, immediately tell me. "Choo-choo," she affirmed. Hearing her answer, I started to walk toward the direction she smelled grim race monsters excitedly. Chapter 357 Occult Method. Choo-choo. I keep following the direction that Ashlyn is guiding me, and I excitedly follow her while trying to guess what type of grim monster I will face. While I am very excited, I am also being very cautious. This is a grim battlefield, a simple sneak attack, and I could get a direct ticket to the underworld. Walking cautiously, I reached near the place where Ashlyn was leading me to, but when I saw the place, my blood couldn't help but boil, and I just want to go there and burn the whole place down. What I saw is nearly 85% eaten human body on ramrod, while the light fire still ongoing below it, cooking it bit by bit. Looking storage, holowatch and other artifacts that are piled on the ground, and half-eater human meat still on ramrod. The grim race monsters seem to have left in hurry for some reason. It is their great luck that they left, otherwise I would have used the same merciless method on them that I had used on the werewolf. Despite seeing no one there, I still cautiously moved toward it. Just when I was halfway to ramrod, I sensed something which made me stop for a second, but after some thinking I started to walk again. Just as I was a few meter distance away from ramrod, I quickly summoned fireball and threw it on the ramrod. Just as I did, 2 shadows jumped from the ground toward the fireball, wanting to stop, but they could not, as this fireball is not simple fire but fireball which I had put 100% of my sunfire power in anger. Dub. As my fireball had touched ramrod, it burned whatever parts of humans remain on ramrod, including the ramrod it had on, turning it all into the ash, while 2 grim race monster kept looking dumbfoundedly. These grim race monsters had set up a trap with a nearly eaten monster body. If it had any other rookie who became furious after seeing the body and ran toward it forgetting cautiousness, he would have surely fallen to their sneak attack, but it's unfortunate for them that I am not a normal rookie. The first thing is I am not that careless even, and I am extremely angry, and secondly it's impossible to sneak attack on me without me knowing. Do me have rule of killing. As long as anyone has killing intent toward me and it within a certain distance, I will easily know about him. There is only 2 ways one could sneak attack on me. One is to not have any killing intent toward me, and another is to have a rule that countered my killing rule, or rule that masked one's killing intent. There is third way also, and it did not require the above 2 conditions. That way is to have far above power than me, so even if I sensed a sneak attack on me, I would be too powerless to stop it. Both of them are Ratman, about 2 meter and 2.5 meter tall. The shorter one is at captain stage while taller one is at major stage, and both of them holding short dual blades. Fighting them going to be a little hard. Earlier when I fought against the Lieutenant Stage Werewolf, I had used 25% of rule power to fight it normally and 50% when it used the Spirit Totem and only used 100% to immobilize it. If they are normal Ratman, then I don't think I will have to use the whole rule power if they are normal Ratmen, and if my luck is bad they are at the level of the previous werewolf, then I think 100% of my rule power would be more than enough. And if my luck turns out to be very bad and these Ratmen are above the level of the werewolf, then I can use my final trump card, which I hadn't even used when I was measuring my combat score, because of this trump card need use rule of killing, which I don't want anyone know I had comprehended. Of the two Ratmen, I will fight the tall one and leave short one for Ashlyn. Earlier she also wanted to fight but did not get a chance. Kakik, you damn food, you have destroyed our meal, now pay the price by replacing it yourself, said tall Ratman in its squeaky voice, and soon after that both of them lunged at me. Choo-choo. Ashley chirped loudly and flew away from my shoulder toward short Ratman. On the way she wholly covered herself with her silver fire, and that's not normal fire either. It's fire which is merged with the power of Sunfire, one of best peak second grade offensive rule in front of its offensive power. Even my killing rule's offensive power paled in front of it. I had cautioned Ashlyn not to damage Ratman's body too much and if possible keep it alive so it could experience the agony of the killing rule. Find authorized novels and web novel faster updates. Better experience, please click www.novelhall.com for visiting. Seeing Ashlyn attacking smaller Ratman, I did not give him second look and looked at tall major stage Ratman which is attacking. Its speed is very fast and just a second it arrived in front of me. Attack. Its speed very fast that my eyes are barely able to catch its shadow. Then and there I know I had made estimating its power. When I saw Ratman is at major level, I thought 70% of killing rule would be enough, but I was utterly wrong. It is a good thing that I am using killing rule that made my senses stronger, that in a fraction of a second, I had increased the power by 10% and moved my weapons to meet its blades. If it was rule of Sunfire I had been using, I had been too slow to do all that, and one believes it or not, except for offensive skills when killing rule give more boost to skill than Sunfire rule for some reason. Clank clank. Thud thud. I barely able to counter its blades, but I still had to take a step back due to my underestimation of its power earlier. Clank clank. Swish. As I was taking a step back, its second attack had arrived, but this time I was ready and able to counter its blows without suffering any loss. Not only that I had even counterattacked, but it was able to dodge due to its fast speed, all I able to cut few strands of hair of its. Surviving from my swift counterattack, its eyes became serious and it started to attack me earnestly, but no matter how it tries, any of its attack able to touch me. It's not that this Ratman is weak, no, this Ratman is quite strong. It would have been a little stronger than the werewolf when it was at lieutenant level, it's just that with killing rule gave me intuition, and this intuition give a faint idea about opponent's next move. And the more amazing thing is, the longer the fight lasts the stronger my intuition became. The killing rule is absolutely amazing. It may not have strong of offensive power as other rules, but the various types of enhancement it gave make it one of best peak second level rule that is also best for killing. Chapter 358 Occult Method 2. Squee. I was busy with fighting tall Ratman when I heard quite weird squeak like a scream. It was quite irritating to ears. Tall Ratman and I at the same time cast our look toward the sound, and when I saw the source of the voice I was quite surprised. I was Captain Stage Short Ratman, and now it looked way different than it looked 10 some minutes ago when the fight started. It now looked like a barbecued rat. Not only it is burned every inch of its skin, there are even bullets hole all over its body. From the look of it, it looks quite miserable, as it is largely unsuccessful fending off against thumbnail size of fireballs of Ashlyn which are shooting toward it one after another like a bullet without pause. This is special fireball that Ashlyn had derived in the past 3 months. These fireballs are concentrated till they became thumbnail size, and the power of Sunfire is fused in them and they shoot like a bullet toward the opponents, but that's not the only thing special about them. These fireballs came in 2 variations. One is bullet variation, which strikes the opponent like the bullet and pierced through it, while the second is also flies like a bullet, but when it touched the skin, it explodes and covers the whole body. The funny thing is both of the fireballs look the same and released the same way. so one can't identify what type of fireball is one facing against. One will only able to know when the fireball crashed against something. One can save himself from piercing fireball, but it is very hard to save himself from the exploding fireball, as just as it exploded, it enveloped the whole body. Only a very good shield or defensive skill could save itself from the fireball's explosion effect. The inspiration she got for the bullet fireball is from my skill fire strike, but I don't where she got the idea of making fireball that explodes and then enveloped. This effect of exploding and enveloping is very tricky. I have seen it tens of times, but till now, I wasn't able to figure how she made it, and I didn't ask her. I have my own pride and will figure out how it's make eventually. The wretched barbecued condition of Ratman is clearly the result of an exploding fireball. Just one look at their battle, one could easily tell that little birdie flying above the Ratman has already won the battle and now she is just playing around it. I hope that Ashlyn didn't injured it too much, otherwise I will lose many mana crystals. "Brother, save me," asked short Ratman in a squeaky voice as another fireball pierced through its skin. Hearing its brother's plea, the tall Ratman wanted to run toward its brother, but just as it took a few steps, I stood in front of it blocking its way. "Where are you going? Our fight hadn't finished yet," I said and launched another attack at it. Clank. With the clank, we both took several steps back. Find authorized novels and web novel faster updates. Better experience, please click www.novelhall.com for visiting. "Let me pass," said tall Ratman, intense anger apparent in its eyes. Seeing the anger appearing in its eyes, I became happy. "No," I replied to its statement dramatically as I shook my head saying it. "I want to make it angry and feel fear. Let him think that its brother could die at any minute while it was fighting against me. This fear of it will down payment for the pain it will face when I shove crystal disc inside it. There is also the second reason, which is that fighting angrily against me, it will make many mistakes which I will exploit it to finish it off." "Very well, then you can only die," it said, and its movements became mysterious and blades which I was able to see clear became blur that even my eyes weren't able to follow it. Not only the movement of its blades became mysterious, but its body's movement also became mysterious, that I am seeing its body moving both lefts and right at the same time. Its movement making me confused despite my senses enhanced and intuition heightened. I quickly searched for the possibility of what could cause that. It is not the skill, as Grim Race can't use skills before breaking through the night stage. It is not due to the summoning of Spirit Totem, as whenever Spirit Totem is summoned they create a visual phenomenon. I was just searching for what could it be when a thing I heard in Awakening Ground came into my mind, and I read it about in the booklet given to us by Fort Cavendish, and when I thought about possibility, I able so terrified that I started to build up the trump card that I have never used it against anyone. "Oh, occult skill!" I shouted in a terrified voice, hearing my terrified shout. "He he he." The Ratman laughs weirdly hearing my terrified shout. "You are quite knowledgeable. Yes, this is occult dance. I am very lucky that I am able to comprehend occult dance from my tribe's table, though what I able to comprehend just a fraction of it, not even a %, but it is still enough to finish tens of you." "Occult dance, flood of knives," screamed Ratman in a squeaky voice and came at me with its mystical occult skill. Occult skills are extremely terrifying from what I've heard, and I did want to take any chances against it, so I used all my power. I used both of my rule power at their 100%. Using both rule power together is extraordinary mental energy, as I have to keep both of those rule power in balance. It had taken me 2 months of constant practice to find a balance between them, so I could use both rules together, and I can use them together for just 4 minutes, as it took tremendous mental energy to maintain the balance between them. Both rule complement each other. One gave extreme offensive power while others gave enhanced senses and heightened intuition, and their combination produced the destructive result. I just hope that it will be enough against this mysterious occult skill. Both of us came at each other. It's a movement which had become very mysterious and difficult to see, now had become slightly visible, though they are still unclear. I am confident to overcome this visible difficult with my heightened intuition that my killing rule gave. Every step had to be taken carefully, even a slight mistake will lead to death. Finally, it came closer to me, and the speed of its blades suddenly increased and its movements become more mysterious. Although my eyes weren't able to follow the blades of Ratman, but my intuition able to tell me its general direction. Clank 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 slash clank clank slash. Our weapons are clashing so fast that even I wasn't able to see at them clearly due to their speed. I am defending all of its attacks through intuition, though my counter is not perfect, and every now and then deep slashes keep appearing on my body that within 10 seconds nearly every part of my body cut by its blades, including my face. Chapter 359 Occult Method 3. As I received more and more wounds, the mysterious energy that Ratman's blade released inside them tried to enter inside me through them, but I was able to keep it in the bay with the power of my rules. More injuries started appearing on my body from the first second, and in just a few seconds their quantity becomes so great that they had appeared on every inch of my body, including my face. I have rarely ever received injury on the face, but now I have received so many injuries on my face that they are greater than all the injuries I have received it till now. Clank 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 slash. As time passed, my intuition became stronger and the slashes that I had received on my body started lessening, but still, I had received quite many serious injuries. It is due to the sheer willpower that I holding on, otherwise, I would have collapsed long ago due to serious injuries and mysterious energy that tried to infiltrate my body. Clank clank slash clank clank. Seeing I getting better and better at defending as time passed, it suddenly increased the intensity of its attacks. The mysteriousness of its movement increased, and I am having a hard time defending against its attack despite having high intuition. If this going on, then I won't be able to last more than 5 seconds, I thought worriedly, and gave my all for defending against its attacks, but it's not enough. Slice. Suddenly I felt an intense premonition of death, and next moment killing intent skyrocketed to an alarming degree. It is the heaviest killing intent I've sensed in real life. The very next second, I felt blade coming toward my neck at extremely fast speed, and my sword and shield too far away defend against it. The neck and the crotch are the only 2 areas in my body that were free of blade cuts. I had taken cuts on other vital areas but never let blade touch these 2 areas, but now the blade is coming at extremely high speed, and if I didn't do anything else then it would slice my neck apart. As for the protection of defense skill and defense equipment, they are like paper in front it that could smoothly cut through with the slight force. The defense made of both of my rule power is not easily cut through, but this damn occult skill has some kind of weird energy that it could even cut through the defense made of rule powers if they are not strong enough. Find authorized novels and web novel faster updates. Better experience, please click www.novelhall.com for visiting. If I had survived this fight by some blessing, I would sure research more about the occult skills, so I won't be caught off guard like this next time. He had just launched this attack just a fraction of a second ago, but in such a small time I was able to think about hundreds of options that could save me, but except for one. I thought through the hundreds of options, and the only option I find that have slight chance to save me is a dodge. Yes, a simple dodge, but blade coming so fast that simple dodging won't work, as the blade would pierce through my throat before I could finish taking half a step. For this dodge, I will have to use the move which I hadn't used in months. After comprehending rule power, I felt there was no need to use that move. The reason I stopped using that move because its execution was slow, but that weakness would be gone if I used my rule power. With the plan in mind, I executed that move, and next moment 2 jets of fire lit under the sole of my feet, and with slight flex of my leg muscles, I made a jump high, but when I was just a few inches above the ground, the reappears blade arrived front of me and touched my neck. I am going to die, I thought the moment the blade touched my neck. Time seemed to slow down at extremely slow speed as I am able to see what is happening in front of me, frame by frame. I could see the blade that has touched my neck is inching deeper and deeper into my skin while I am going higher and higher, but my speed is too low compared to the speed of the blade. It probably would have a sense that I am going to die and no one can save me. That is why I felt extreme elation from his killing intent. This is the first time I felt such killing intent. It is different from the usual killing intent, which only contains murderous intention for another. This killing intent had murderous intent, obviously, otherwise it would not be called killing intent, but there is also joy in it. Even on the verge of death, sensing such different killing intent, I got enamored by it. I have heard many times that killing someone felt joy, but it is my first time sensing with my senses. Suddenly I felt the change happening in my source. If I could currently see my source, I would see that the blood-red ribbon that was representing my killing rule had become even shinier and sharp edges of it became even more prominent. There is even change happening in length as it grows bigger. The ribbon's aura kept rising until it started to exclude aura the same level as that of silver-yellow feather. When comprehending the rule at Awakening Ground, Michael barely able comprehend it to the low level of the basic stage, while Ashlyn also comprehended to low level of basic stage, but her comprehension had reached halfway into it. That is why Sunfire Rule always been more powerful than Killing Rule. Outside, Michael, who was seeing what happening in very slow motion, found his speed had suddenly increased many times, and the blade which even started to scratch bone of neck, but before it could go further, my speed increased explosively that it left Blade and Ratman behind. Thud. I had just stabilized myself in the air when I heard a soft thud ground below, and when I looked down what sound is, I saw Ratman lying in the ground. I didn't dare to believe what I saw. This could be a plot. Ashlyn throws a couple of fireball on its limb. I asked Ashlyn from the air, as I am using all the mental energy I have to use my rule power to ward off mysterious energy in my injuries, which is trying its all to infiltrate in my body. This air walking skill which I used to use without any effort is now taking all my effort to main it. Choo choo. Sup sup sup. She affirmed with chirp and started launching piecing fireball to all over its limbs, so if it's acting then it will definitely move away, and even if it's not acting, such injuries on its limbs will make even hard for it to walk for some time. Except little moving, it did not do much even when Ashlyn pieced its limbs with her tiny fireballs. I still did not feel safe and asked Ashlyn to launch a couple more fireballs. Only after seeing its body in the wretched state by fireballs, I land on the ground at a safe distance and started to think about mysterious energy that dwelling in my injuries. Chapter 360 Harvest and Return. There are more than 100 cuts all over my body, but no blood could be seen leaking from them, as this is also one of the perks of Killing Rule. As long as I cover my body with killing energy, no blood would leak out of me, no matter how many cuts I had received. Currently, I am observing the weird energy that presents in my wound. It is very ferocious and wanted to charge inside my body but hold down my by rule power. After observing them enough, I took out a healing potion bottle and drank, but a few seconds passed. No, a single change occurred to my wounds. I had expected this, seeing the viciousness of energy, that it would not let any healing effect take place on my wounds. I started to think about ways to remove my body, and I started to attack it with my mana, but I was shocked to see that it is devouring my mana and getting stronger, seeing that I effectively cut the supply of mana. This energy is really vicious. It looks like I have to use my rule power after all. I am now suffering from splitting headaches due to using 2 rule power at once. The headache would not have been this worse, but when my killing rule advanced, the pressure on my mental energy increased many times more. The killing rule is the one blocking this mysterious energy's path, and despite feeling headache, I took the strand of killing energy and attacked it on that mysterious energy. The killing energy instantly obliterated, but seeing that I did not turn sad but happy as I saw that it felt threatened against killing energy and attacked it, and the reason it was obliterated because I just use a strand of mental killing energy, not a hunk of it. Seeing killing energy may useful against it, I used a hunk of killing energy while enduring spitting headaches and attacked that mysterious energy. Both mysterious energies fought, and finally killing energy able to erase a small part of that energy. This mysterious energy is very resilient. If I used killing energy to obliterate it, it will take days, even a full week. I should try Sunfire Rule, I thought. The offensive power of Killing Rule is not that great to compare to Sunfire Rule. If I guess, then is 30% of Sunfire, which is less than 1/3 power of Sunfire Rule. Sunfire Rule is one of the best offensive rule in the 2nd level, and it should be very effective against this mysterious energy, but first I have to replace Killing Rule with Sunfire, and I have to do it fast enough so that this mysterious energy won't take advantage of it and sleeps into my body. I am such an idiot, I said as I slapped myself on the uninjured part of my temple. If I have replaced Killing Rule with Sunfire Rule, all my wounds would have burst open, and it would have taken less than a minute for me lose all my blood. Not only that, this mysterious energy would have taken this chance to invade my body. It was good that I quickly realized my mistake. Now, before I could replace Killing Rule with Sunfire Rule, I have to do something about these wounds. It's a good thing that I have a way. With that, I have taken out huge chunk of bandages and started to paste them all over my body. By the time I finished, I looked like a boy whose body more covered more in bandages than cloths. After checking nothing I had missed, I quickly took back Rule of Killing and replaced with Sunfire Rule, but the mysterious energy noticed its chance and wanted to infiltrate inside my body, and about to be succeeded when Sunfire Shore covered my body and mysterious energy that about infiltrating my body came in contact with Sunfire. Sizzle. Sizzle. They made a sizzling sound as they burned with my Sunfire Rule, but still, even the Rule of Sunfire took quite a time to burn off that energy, and that energy is just mysterious energy that tried to infiltrate my body, which was in very minute amount compared to the shitload of mysterious energy which is my wounds. Still, with the power of Sunfire, it will take 2 to 3 days to burn off that mysterious energy completely, only then will my injuries would be fully healed. This is not the place I could slowly burn away energy from the occult skill. I could only do that in the safety of my apartment. The 2 Ratmen are still lying down and Ashley would attack them whenever she sensed even a slight moment from them. Still, I have to careful, ready for any attack, but that would be hard, for it does so as I will sense it just as it thought that. Find authorized novels and web novel faster updates. Better experience. Please click www.novelhall.com for visiting. I took out the special rope from my storage, that which I brought to bind the Grim Race monster especially. As long as they are even weak in stage, it will be very hard even for major stage Grim Race monster to free itself from the bind of rope. I went to the short Ratman first and started to bind it with the rope. Halfway through the process, it started to struggle, but I am easily able to suppress it. After binding the short Ratman perfectly, I went toward tall Ratman. As I got closer to it, I didn't sense any emotions, especially killing from it. It truly is unconscious, I thought as I touched the tall Ratman's body. Even after taking a hard beating for Ashlyn, that short Ratman in semi-conscious state, but this Ratman is fully unconscious and its breathing also seems very weak. It seemed like using the occult method is not easy, one had to pay certain price using it, I thought as I looked at Ratman. The first thing I will do after returning is the research occult method and see if there is a faster way to heal my injuries. I took crystal disc and just thinking about on Chich Ratman I should use this on when my gaze fell on the storage on the ground, not far from where half-eater human body used to be. I quickly went toward it and spread my mental energy into the storage, hoping to find something. Bingo! I shouted. I was hoping to find crystal disc inside the storage. It is a necessary item who goes out for the hunting, and I was right. There is crystal disc, not 1 but 2, and both of the disc is medium grade 1. They are a little smaller than my crystal disc, with blue color and better look than my crystal disc. Both discs have a capacity of 20 mana crystal and would take a lot less time to produce it. I was just worried about the time it would take to harness mana crystals, as it took nearly half an hour just to harness 4 crystal from the lieutenant grade Grim monster, but finding 2 middle grade crystal disc in the storage, it is like the grace of God to me, especially when I am in this vulnerable condition. I quickly placed crystal disc on both of the Ratman's chests and waited for mana crystal to be produced. Low-grade crystal disc can harness on average 3 crystal core from lieutenant stage, 7 from captain stage and 15 from major stage. Amount of crystal given by the average Grim Race monster, but those belong special tribe or elite or something different about them can give different amount of harvest. Middle grade crystal disc 30% to 40% can harness more compared to low grade crystal disc. Ting. 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 The medium level crystal disc is really better than low grade disc. Not only it can harvest more mana crystals, but they are also about 5 times faster in harvesting speed. The Ratmans, which were semi-conscious and unconscious state, were roused from their unconscious stage as crystal discs started harvesting their energy, and now they are suffering painful torture of their life being harvested. While crystal discs were harvesting the mana crystal, I collected ashes of a dead man into the bottle. Whoever this was, he must be at major stage, otherwise its flesh would have directly vaporized, had not been able to survive 100% power of my Sunfire. He must have fallen into the trap of Ratman and got killed in the sneak attack, as I saw no sign of fighting when I arrived at the scene earlier. After collecting ashes and things of the fallen man, I waited silently for harnessing to be over. Time passed by and mana crystal after mana crystal started to appear in the crystal. Seeing that, my mood, which had been sour due to my injuries, started becoming better. I had quite a harvest today just by mana crystals, and there are still things from 3 Grim Race monsters. I wonder how much merit points I will get from them. Dub. Tall Ratman turns to ash and harness finally over in little less than an hour. Picking Cridal Disc off the ashes of Tall Ratman, I removed all mana cores from it, which are 14. Counting 5 I got from Short Ratman and 4 from a werewolf, I have gained 20 mana crystal today. That's quite a fortune. I would have gotten a lot more, especially from Tall Ratman, if not for it being exhausted from using occult skill and then injured by Ashlyn. After wearing a long leather coat to cover my bandaged body, I started to leave toward Fort Cavendish's direction.